Chapter 151. Are you, a human or a ghost? Chris, Leon, and the others first witnessed Mrs. Dimitrescu throwing out the strongest fighter, Jill, and then saw this nearly 3-meter-tall female tyrant being tied to the ground by the men in a few moves. Then, a portal that only appeared in science fiction and fantasy movies was opened, and Mrs. Dimitrescu and 3 fly girls who were imprisoned in human form by some force were sent to the laboratory at the FBI headquarters. Me? Just an ordinary FBI agent. Li Chengfeng shook his short hair, which he couldn't shake at all, and smiled at his teammate Killer and Vehicle Killer. Successfully gave the other person goosebumps. The Resident Evil protagonists who were unaware of the truth showed awe towards the mysterious Li Chengfeng. Phil Coulson and the others have already started to hold back their laughter. Wade Wilson, in particular, thought about the saddest thing in his life 3 times before he managed to suppress the smile. This is not Versailles. This is called pretending to be a cow. Li Chengfeng was extremely delighted when he saw that the biochemical protagonists were shocked by his even aura. It seems that I am almost done with the tiger body shaking technique. But this was just an episode. Li Chengfeng was a serious person most of the time while performing his missions. At this moment, although his mind was already filled with the big thunder of Mrs. Dimitrescu's cart, he still left a part for thinking. The fungus beasts we encountered in the underground sewer all had a distinct purple glow of love on their bodies, and they lived in the mold on their bodies. Although it is still very weak, it is definitely much stronger than a simple e-moldman. But Mrs. Dimitrescu just now did not have the slightest purple light of love on her body, she was just pure primitive e-mold. The same is true for the 3 fly girls. This also shows that this special situation has not always existed, but has only appeared recently. This is interesting. Li Chengfeng pulled the corner of his mouth. Definitely this is just a preliminary inference. Aren't there 4 great nobles in total? Just get rid of the other 3 nobles and see if they are the same as Mrs. Dimitrescu. Okay, we should move on. Li Chengfeng said, and walked deeper into the police station. I can sense that there are still a few bugs in the darkness that need to be cleaned up. Bugs? Chris and the others quickly followed Li Chengfeng. You mean, Bao still exists? Although they are indeed Bao in nature, their ability classification is closer to super abilities. Look at other Baos, they are all evolving to be higher, faster and stronger. But the gift of the parasite created with E-mold as the base, the ability given to the infected is related to what they think in their hearts or what they are good at. This is no longer a simple genetic mutation, but the master of fungi with extremely high intelligence read his thoughts and improved his defects. Li Chengfeng talked incessantly that the combination of Spencer's biochemical knowledge and his understanding of the game settings made it possible for him to fool these protagonists with absolute certainty. Ethan had already stood up with the help of Phil Coulson and others. Li Chengfeng glanced at Ethan's wrist, which had a big cut but not much blood. Phil Coulson and other FBI agents had already noticed the abnormality of the wound, but when they saw Li Chengfeng shaking his head calmly, they chose not to say anything. Li Chengfeng sighed secretly. Ethan is a miserable man. If Resident Evil 0 to 6 are epic adventures of heroes, then 7 and 8 are the fatal chapters of a husband and a father. Saved my wife and saved my daughter. But he couldn't save himself. Ethan Winters has spent his entire life giving everything for his family. Fortunately, Ethan in this universe met Li Chengfeng. He will soon be able to continue being a good husband and father. Okay, now it's hunting time. Teacher. Look. The Mushroom Master is starting to show abnormal reactions. What? This is the most violent fluctuation ever. Spencer immediately looked at the screen showing the energy readings. Oh my god! This energy is so huge. So violent. But the Fungus Master has never made such a strange move before. Mother Goddess Miranda has fallen into complete confusion. More than half a month had passed since they sneaked into America and hid in Raccoon City. During this period, the host has been normal. But since a week ago, when an aurora swept across the surface of the earth, the fungus turned purple overnight, and its shape became more and more like a cocoon. It was from that time that she temporarily lost the connection with the master of the fungus. After 100 years of stability, a sudden change forced the Mother Goddess Miranda to take things one step at a time. The results showed that the fungus master that turned into a purple cocoon could still produce E-mold, and both its infectivity and variability were greatly enhanced. Even the completely mutated fungus beast was stronger than the previous E-mold. But she never thought that she would possess such powerful energy. It was beyond her and Spencer's control. Chapter 152. In the police station, a group of people, led by Li Chengfeng, began hunting down the other three nobles. The first to suffer was the Down syndrome fish, whose IQ was clearly below standard. Salvador Moro. As the one with the worst integration with gifts among the four nobles, this fish-shaped freak actually caused Li Chengfeng physical discomfort when he was playing games. It's a complete combination of stinky fish, nematodes, and pustules. Li Chengfeng was basically covered with goosebumps at that time, cursing and feeling his scalp tingling as he defeated the boss. So when Li Chengfeng found Moro in another section of the underground sewer, the place where Leon encountered the mutant crocodile, he burned him to ashes with his thermal vision without hesitation. It can be considered as revenge for myself. Someone may ask, why did Mrs. Dimitrescu and the three fly girls just send him to research vaccines, but burn Moro to ashes and give his ashes to Ya Yang? Did Li Chengfeng's habit of serving a favor to a friend come back again? Li Chengfeng can pat his chest and guarantee. He is a face lover. Mrs. Dimitrescu is tall, beautiful, and powerful. Beauty is justice in this world, so what's wrong with sparing her life? Not everyone likes to watch R18G. However, in this way, Li Chengfeng's image in the eyes of the biochemical protagonists has evolved from WTF is he so powerful, to where the hell did this monster come from? But their hearts were becoming more and more relaxed. After all, when you are teammates with monsters, what you need to worry about most is that your opponent can't hold on and surrenders early. The second person to be killed was Karl Heisenberg, who was nicknamed Martial Arts Scholar. As the saying goes, a name can be wrong, but a nickname can never be wrong. His image can't be said to be slightly similar to the martial arts candidate in Let the Bullets Fly, but it can be said that they are exactly the same. And Heisenberg should be the most perfect person to receive the gift. Because he did not produce any side effects, but instead all his organs had the ability to discharge electricity, and connected with his nerves, which then formed a magnetic field around his body, giving him an ability similar to Magneto. Judging from the performance, it can indeed be called a bankrupt version of Magneto. But Li Chengfeng believes that Heisenberg is actually more like a beggar version of Eustace Kid. It is the user with the ability of the magnetic fruit in one piece. Especially the final form when he used his ultimate move, which looked like a distorted version of Kid. In terms of combat capability alone, Heisenberg is even superior to the mother goddess Miranda. If he had not been suppressed by the authority of the Fungus Lord, he would have rebelled long ago. And he also did a lot of traitorous things in private. The village in Romania is almost isolated from the world, but BSAA was able to obtain such complete intelligence thanks to this guy. But the fate of a traitor is nothing but death. Since you betrayed your previous master, it is not impossible for you to betray him again. So Li Chengfeng was very straightforward. After turning into diamond and crushing every inch of Heisenberg's bones, he rolled him into a blob that was not yet dead, and threw him into an empty pocket space. Then cut off the link and let this pocket space fend for itself in the gap between the major dimensions. As for the last noble, she is Donna Benevento, the puppeteer. Although Donna is called a puppeteer, her actual ability is to secrete substances carrying biological signals to control infected fungal plants. It is also possible to control these mold plants to excrete hallucinogenic pollen, causing people to fall into a deep and terrifying illusion. Li Chengfeng is now looking for her alone. Why alone? Because he got caught. But he was not panicked at all, and even played hide and seek with Donna in the illusion. He, little sister, you must hide a little more secretly. I will give you 3 chances. If I find you 3 times in a row, I will kill you without hesitation. Now, the game begins. It can be said that Li Chengfeng had a great time in the illusion, because he didn't know why this little girl wanted to use the illusion to deal with someone who had obtained the willpower of both Bruce Wayne and Hal Jordan. But that's no reason for you to smile like a Lolita stalker. Along with these words came an adamantium bat. It hit him directly on the back of the head, making a sound of metal clashing. The slight pain and numbness instantly brought him out of the illusion. Then, the woman who was swinging a baseball bat at Li Chengfeng in the previous second, was hanging on him in the next second, leaving a kiss mark as compensation. It's Harley Quinn. In the corner next to her, there was a woman dressed in black, sobbing softly while holding her doll Angie. Ah, why are you so scared? Nonsense, there's a pervert who's worse than the villain chasing you, are you scared? Harley Quinn shrugged, but thanks to you scaring her to tears, I was able to find her location in my fantasy. You are not affected by the illusion. Seeing Li Chengfeng's curious expression, Harley Quinn smiled playfully. Oh, pudding. For a madman, her fantasy world is like an amusement park. Chapter 153. Chris and others are trapped in the same illusion, entangled with the terrible monster baby in different places. But the next moment, they all woke up from the illusion. In addition to Li Chengfeng who looked calm, there was also Harley Quinn who was swiping the screen of her mobile phone. I can guarantee that you will never imagine what your expressions will be like when you are in this illusion. As the top detective and agent in each major organization, it's really hard to describe. Speaking of which, Phil Coulson, your expression is the most distorted. It seems that you are really afraid of this kind of thing. Ahem, I just haven't watched a horror movie in a long time. Phil Coulson looked a little embarrassed. Actually, I'm very brave. Yes, very brave. Your remarks. Li Chengfeng patted Phil Coulson on the shoulder, are as sad as an impotent patient's stubborn talk. You have a broken mouth. If you can't speak, just say less. Others won't think you are dumb. After teasing Phil Coulson, Li Chengfeng glanced at Donna who was hiding in the corner. Originally, this woman was extremely socially anxious, and now she even dared not speak except through the dolls that she had shared with her gift. Do you want to live, Donna-chan? Li Chengfeng's voice was not loud, but to Donna's ears, it sounded like the low roar of a death-challenging ghost. You definitely want to live. Donna said tremblingly. When her illusion cannot affect people, she is just a waste, and even a thin ordinary person can take the doll Angie away from her. Very good, uncle, I like women who know the times best. Li Chengfeng came to Donna with great admiration, squatted down, and looked directly into Donna's eyes that were not blocked by the ugly congenital scar. The dead silence and despair were finally replaced by the desire to survive. Now I have a question for you. You must think of the answer carefully. This is related to the life and death of you and the puppet in your hand. Li Chengfeng pointed at the doll in Donna's hand and smiled brightly. He knew that this type of autistic personality needed an object of emotional support. Threatening this doll is more realistic than threatening her personally. There are many things that Mother Goddess Miranda and Spencer have not told the Four Nobles, but I will try to tell you everything I know. Very good. Just as Li Chengfeng expected, the other party chose to compromise. It's not a very difficult question. Just tell me, has anything strange happened recently? Strange things. Donna began to try hard to search the few memories in her mind. After all, most of the time she just wanted to stay in the house. Oh, right, one day after we came to Raccoon City, about a week ago, Mother Goddess Miranda gathered everyone together, and we witnessed the transformation of the fungus master from its original black color to purple. From that day on, the infected fungus beasts became much stronger than the original ones. And those humans who haven't been completely infected have also begun to mutate. They are normal during the day, crazy at night, and forgetful tomorrow. This cycle repeats until they completely lose their minds and become fungus beasts. Li Chengfeng nodded. Most of the known information can match what this woman said. It seems that the source of all this is that the fungus owner has mutated. Turning to purple? There weren't any similar mutations in the original game? But the fungus beasts he killed had real traces of purple light in their bodies. If it was Li Chengfeng who had just traveled through time, he would rack his brains but would never think that the biochemical crisis incident had anything to do with the purple light of love in the emotional spectrum. But now, he is no longer a novice and has some understanding of the nature of the universe. That is, don't doubt your intuition. As long as you find evidence, then move in that direction. You will definitely not go wrong. Lao Deng, who created this universe, is brainless. Very good, just stay here and don't move around. I'll go buy some oranges. While speaking the language of the Republic, which Europeans and Americans could not understand, Li Chengfeng took out a pair of handcuffs made of URU alloy. It was carved by Loki, self-proclaimed, the FBI's #1 magician. There are 3 runes in total, which respectively imprison energy, the human body, and the soul. Wearing these handcuffs, even Li Chengfeng would need some time to break free. Not to mention Donna, the bankrupt, half-baked poison ivy. Li Chengfeng didn't have good intentions when he handcuffed her instead of sending her to death directly. It is true that she had no casualties on her hands. That's all. He is just autistic, not like that stupid fish named Moro who killed many people with his own hands. As for whether she will be sentenced by the FBI, that is none of Li Chengfeng's business. This is one of internal affairs chores, so you'll have to ask Agent Hill. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng waved to the others. Just as he was about to continue his journey, the two light beasts of green light and red light jumped out. The kidney deficiency shark and the clip bull lay on his shoulders respectively. As for Yemengard, she is probably pestering her mother right now, right? Li Chengfeng, you should know what I want to say. Me too. Okay, since we both know the answer, why bother playing dumb? It's just a purple lantern. Li Chengfeng shrugged nonchalantly, looking at the intensity of the energy fluctuations. It's probably the lantern beast awakening, and it's not in the state of a newborn like you guys were back then. Li Chengfeng negotiated with the two lamp beasts as if no one was around, and everyone except Harley Quinn and Ada Wong stared at the two energy creatures that suddenly jumped out of his shoulders. Ah, what is this? Some kind of special skill. The one who could least accept it was probably Ethan. After all, even among the main characters of Resident Evil, he is the one with the least experience. Li, is this the light beast you mentioned before? Phil Coulson was relatively calm, but his eyes were still glued to the two light beasts. Energy life. It's really amazing. Okay, we are now in Raccoon City, where a biological incident is happening, not a zoo. Li Chengfeng quickly interrupted their curiosity and questions and led the team towards the subway leading to the underground facilities. No matter how curious the other members of the team were, they didn't ask any more questions, but just followed. The protagonists of the biochemical group looked at each other in bewilderment. After a long time, Chris lit a cigarette. Take a deep breath and then exhale. I originally thought that traveling all over the world to solve biohazard incidents was already a very outrageous life. I didn't expect there would be a master. Chapter 154. As the only true office agent in Team All-Stars, Ingrid Hannigan usually works most with Sky. Today, Sky is on other missions, so she will be the only one to provide support and lead the Raccoon City mission. After receiving the energy fluctuations emanating from the direction of Raccoon City, she arranged for other agents to begin calculating the detailed data, and then immediately rushed to Nick Fury's office. Director Nick Fury, a huge amount of energy fluctuations have been detected in Raccoon City, but the type of energy is unknown. Unknown energy type. Nick Fury frowned and subconsciously looked at Amanda Waller beside him, but found that the other person's expression was also stunned. That's right, but according to my speculation, it should be similar to the energy of Agent Li Chengfeng's lamp ring, which is suspected to be another color of emotional spectrum energy. Ingrid pushed her glasses and continued, but this energy is also mixed with a large amount of bioelectric signals, which greatly affects the accuracy of the judgment. Continue the testing. What we can do now is not to hinder the team carrying out the mission. Tell all departments to speed up the deployment of single energy barriers and create a perfect mission environment for Agent Li Chengfeng. This car is heading to the Mother Nest. Following the broadcast in the car, Li Chengfeng had already led his men on the subway to the underground facility. At the same time, many people, like Li Chengfeng, detected and perceived this huge amounts of energy. For example, Tony Stark is performing daily maintenance and upgrades on the Mark series, the bald nun is fishing on the rooftop of Holy Place in New York, and Dr. Doom is using the green light of his will to simulate a new magic construction in Latvia. Why didn't the previous three lamps or lamp beasts attract such widespread attention when they came out? The reason is that the environment of the red, orange, and green lights is quite special. When the Green Lantern furnace was discovered by Li Chengfeng, the ion shark was already inside the furnace. Coupled with the stability of the green light of will, it was normal that it did not cause large-scale energy turmoil. The Red Lantern stove was created by Li Chengfeng's Ion Man mode. According to the situation at the time, it was equivalent to being born in the gap between the real universe and the Crimson Universe. Compared with the original energy levels of the various dimensions, the Red Lantern stove was equivalent to throwing a match into a bonfire. Not to mention the Orange Lantern, which was directly forged on the Forge Star in another dimension. Those dwarfs have created many magical artifacts from ancient times to the present, and have seen a lot of powerful energies. After all, even their forges are powered by fixed star energy. And now in Raccoon City, if Li Chengfeng's prediction is correct, the Purple Lantern Beast has awakened. It is normal for a non-neoplastic lamp beast to be unable to suppress its energy burst when it awakens and is not yet restricted by the lamp furnace. He kept feeling the huge energy output that continued, and then looked at King Ada again. Really? Under the cover of the huge energy emitted by the Purple Lantern Beast, the rich and lingering purple light of love around King Ada also began to become active from a relatively static state. Correspondingly, King Ada's condition also began to change. Hey, Li, do you believe me? Which aspect of you do you believe in? Ability or IQ? Li Chengfeng sat next to King Ada, feeling the warmth emanating from the beautiful witch beside him. Definitely, I fell in love with you 10 years ago. Why did you mention this all of a sudden? Li Chengfeng was a little shocked. Although Ada was usually very cautious, she would remain absolutely rational during the mission. Okay, I definitely believe in you, just like you believe in me. It seems to be true. King Ada pouted teasingly, trust is mutual. If you had not accepted my confession at Lake Inari, you would have been evenly divided into 300 pieces by me, each weighing 250 grams, and before I left for the mission this morning, I fried a piece of your tenderloin for a sandwich. I didn't expect you to have the ability to be a deadpan comedian. You can still be called back after more than 100 chapters. I am not kidding you. Ada Wang's face became more and more red. He didn't even care that there were more than a dozen people watching the fun in the carriage. He directly sat on Li Chengfeng's legs. Eating you up bite by bite is another way to grow old together, isn't it? Li Chengfeng shuddered, and couldn't help but imagine the scene where King Ada turned his three-piece set of guns, ammunition and artillery into a dish. It must be very funny. No. Why is he thinking about this? Li Chengfeng suddenly raised his head and his face was almost touching that of King Ada. Really? King Ada's eyes were filled with purple light. And the negative attributes of love are madly eroding Ada's brain. Li Chengfeng was about to use the green light of his will to help Ada suppress the purple light, but he didn't expect that someone would use a more direct and easier method. Bang! A familiar adamantium bat hit Ada on the back of the head. King Aida fell down immediately. Hey, hey, hey! Harley is the most reliable one at times like this. I've been practicing this bat for a long time, it only makes you confused but doesn't hurt your brain. Harley Quinn carried Ada Wang, who had no external injuries but was unconscious, on her back. Then he glanced at Li Chengfeng vaguely. Want to sneak away? No way. When did you develop such a boring skill? Li Chengfeng's mouth twitched, but since Harley had already taken action, then let it be, then you must always pay attention to Ada's condition. The energy that burst out is related to the purple light of love, and it has already affected Ada. Oh, pudding, I may not be able to do other things, but I know everything about controlling the meat tickets. The subway to the mother nest arrived at the station just as Harley Quinn was pounding her chest. As the car door opened, a pair of eyes with purple ripples but without any emotion immediately lit up in the darkness that was not reached by the dim light. Everyone, prepare for battle. A large number of fungus beasts are appearing ahead. The FBI team and the biochemical protagonists all gripped their weapons tightly, and with a wave of Li Chengfeng's hand, everyone rushed forward. Only Harley Quinn, who was shouting "Harley, time is up," was dragged back by Li Chengfeng by the collar, with her long legs swinging constantly. That's enough. You rushed into a fight carrying over 100 pounds? And you were planning to let Ada on your back take the damage for you. That's a good idea. Am I giving you advice? Li Chengfeng blasted a green light on Harley Quinn's forehead, and then a radar materialized. After the scan, the situation in every corner of the mother nest can be seen clearly. Li Chengfeng raised his head and locked onto the fungus master who continued to emit energy. Let's go. What do you mean? You go fight your boss, isn't it okay for me to stay here and protect the black-haired guy? Nonsense, it's not like you didn't notice Ada's abnormality. Maybe with this incident, I can take advantage of it to let Ada master the purple light directly. FK, I want a cool light ring too. What can I do? I've put 3 kinds of lamps, red, orange, and green, in front of you to test them, but there's really no reaction. Be good, I'll definitely do it next time. The radar was removed, and then a rocking car materialized, and Harley Quinn sat in it with a depressed look on her face. Then listen to Dad's dad is called Grandpa. Even more depressed. Chapter 155. Bang! Leon kicked a 4-legged fungus beast away, then pulled out the pistol from his waist and fired continuously. The 4-legged mushroom beast fell to the ground. Damn, this thing is so resistant. Leon frowned, it takes more than a dozen bullets to hit the vital parts to kill it. Isn't that a bit exaggerated? If we compare it with the data information of various zombies and bows shared with us by BSAA, the strength of this fungus beast is indeed a bit too high. Phil Coulson leaned behind Leon, also drawing his gun and shooting, but his expression was extremely calm. For a high-level FBI agent like Phil Coulson, this seemingly crisis-like incident is actually just a small scene. I have seen with Li Chengfeng the sea star from the universe, and the god on earth who is extremely powerful but looks like an innocent boy. Cricket fungus beast, nothing special. Although I would like to say that this thing is average, I have to say that it is much more difficult to deal with than Hydra's agents. The only problem is that these things are too ugly. They are uglier than the TS of my dog after it was neutered. Deadpool Wade Wilson holds 2 knives in his hands, slaughtering the fungus beasts accurately and efficiently. His twin swords were not ordinary items either. Instead, they were made by blending a small amount of secondary adamantium powder into titanium alloy. A young and promising agent like him will always have some privileges under Nick Fury. Such weapons are invincible when facing groups of fungus beasts. Whoosh! 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 3 green arrows shot past Wade's head, kidneys, and TS, accurately hitting the heads of the 3 fungus beasts. Wade Wilson suddenly felt a chill in his crotch. FKU. Oliver, can you please stop doing this kind of difficult shooting? You cut a hole in my crotch. I seriously suspect that your archery skills have deteriorated recently. I'm telling you, stop flirting with girls. Kidney deficiency will eventually backfire on you. FK, Wade. Can you please stop using those cheap things as metaphors? When did I ever pick up girls? Oliver Queen drew his bow and shot an arrow again, not letting anything slip from his mouth. I've been almost dying of exhaustion in the squad base lately. I've always been the one playing games with that big guy Hulk. Just because you told him that I'm the same color as him, we can definitely become good friends. Oliver burst into tears when he mentioned this. Hulk is indeed a good kid. But he is really too hot-tempered and likes to play those difficult games. He is now almost becoming Hulk's exclusive free game console supplier. Oliver Queen couldn't help but shudder when he thought about the last game console that Hulk had stuffed into his mouth and chewed into pieces in a fit of rage. Jill kicked with his left and punched with his right, beating the fungus beast as easily as beating his own children. If we only talk about physical fitness, she is actually the strongest one on the scene. He even performed a trick like tearing a mushroom beast apart with his bare hands. Rebecca, although I haven't participated in an operation for a while, but, are the people in the FBI so unreliable? Jill watched as the red and green ones harvested the fungus beasts in perfect harmony while at the same time mercilessly attacking each other with verbal attacks. Hey, men are like this. Rebecca smiled. This is not an isolated case. There are a huge number of samples, and they are found in all age groups. It's amazing. Wait, where's the FBI agent named Li Chengfeng? Isn't he the commander-in-chief of this team? Phil Coulson came to Jill's side without knowing when. I will take over the command of the scene for the time being. He is not needed for such a small situation. Phil Coulson shrugged. If nothing unexpected happens, he has already gone to the real source of this incident and is ready to kill it in one fell swoop. After saying that, he pointed to the dome with a big hole not far away. Soldiers meet soldiers, kings meet kings. Honestly, if I were less knowledgeable, I would probably have screamed. Harley Quinn sat on the rocking car and looked down. It was the fungus master that turned into a purple cocoon. At the moment, it was emitting a dazzling purple light and producing pulsations. It's as if some creature is about to break out of its cocoon and be reborn. Li Chengfeng felt the fluctuations full of life and crazy love, and his brows couldn't help but frown. It wasn't so clear at first when it was far away, but when I got closer, I found out that the after effect was really strong. This lamp beast that carries the purple light of love is definitely not a good person. It has existed for much longer than one might imagine. Now that you have taken over the fungus master, are you planning to change to shape-shifting state? If the purple lantern beast in front of us is the plunder beast, then it seems reasonable that it can change its shape and shift state through cocooning. After all, the appearance of a plunder beast is just a fleshy worm with many tentacles. I just don't know whether it will turn into a big butterfly or a moth after breaking out of the cocoon. At this moment, the broadcast in the mother nest sounded, and Spencer's voice came from the loudspeaker. Dear Agent Li Chengfeng, please come to the observation room for a chat. Li Chengfeng raised his eyebrows. As the person who dealt with Weskier and Hydra, Spencer knew that he was too normal. If he didn't know, he would be unworthy of his identity as the founder of Umbrella Corporation. But you are so single that you plan to confront me directly? Do you think you have no chance of winning and plan to surrender? Still. delaying time? The probability is the latter. But Li Chengfeng didn't care. He had originally intended to let the purple lantern beast break out of its cocoon on its own and had no intention of interfering with anything. An egg, opened from the outside in, is food. Opening from the inside out is a new life. The same is true for cocoons. Li Chengfeng didn't want to eat fried silkworm pupae today, he just wanted to put the butterfly in a cage. So after making up his mind, he flew to the observation window accompanied by the song Mom's Mom is Called Grandma. Then a beam of black magic hit the thick one-way bulletproof glass of the observation window, and instantly corroded it completely. The figures of Spencer and Mother Goddess Miranda appeared in front of Li Chengfeng. "Good evening, Mr. Spencer and Ms. Miranda, how was your weekend? You must be in a good mood after traveling all the way from Romania to America for vacation. I hope you can keep this good mood, because next, I will send you to a wonderful place called Refrigerator." After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, he brought Harley Quinn and the unconscious Ada Wong to Spencer. Harley Quinn jumped off the rocking car immediately without wasting a second. "Damn you Li Chengfeng, if you let me ride the rocking car again. Bite your mouth." Chapter 156. Go, go, go and have fun, put Ada in a good place first. Li Chengfeng ignored Harley Quinn's threat and stared at the two people in front of him without blinking. One is a disciple who is in his twilight years and about to die. One is a teacher who is 120 years old but still maintains a youthful appearance. The two people also represent the master of the fungus and the ancestral virus respectively. To be honest, these two people are the pinnacle of the biochemical technology tree of the Resident Evil series. What about Wesker and Ikozala? They are still a little immature compared to the master and his apprentice. At least the viruses handled by the master and disciple will not have the huge flaws like the Ouroboros virus. Oswell Spencer, Mother Goddess Miranda, you two can be said to be the terrorists who pose the greatest threat to civilians in my mind. Although Li Chengfeng talked about the great harm posed by the two men, he still had a kind smile on his face, just like he was chatting with the old man next door. But those who know Li Chengfeng's grandson know that at this time, the other party's life and death are really unpredictable. I think your understanding of me and the teacher is a little distorted. I want to have a longer life and a stronger body, while the teacher just wants to revive Eva. This is understandable, isn't it? In order to survive, you let all civilians in the world be shrouded in the terror of the biohazard? In order to revive your own daughter, you have to use someone else's daughter as a vessel. Li Chengfeng's smile gradually turned cold. In my opinion, you are worse than those Hydra idiots. At least some of them really believe that Hydra can reshape the world order and make the world a better place. And you, the Umbrella, have your own ulterior motives and put profit above all else. Li Chengfeng's anger was not fake. Hydra's goal is to rule the world. Although they do not value human life very much, they try not to touch civilians. After all, without people, who will they rule? Insects and microorganisms? Therefore, the danger of Hydra is relative to major government agencies and the FBI, and they usually target the superstructure. But the Umbrella Company doesn't care about anything. If they want to conduct an experiment, they just find a city to launch it. In their eyes, there are no humans, only experimental data. The most common supernatural events in the world are biochemical crises. Even the Republic suffered losses from the Umbrella Corporation for a period of time. Finally, under the leadership of Wang Zhongxia, the entire Republic branch of Umbrella Corporation was eradicated, and the situation calmed down. Compared to Hydra, I think you are more like Hydra. Cut off one head and two heads will grow. After all, people who pursue profit will always exist, right? As Li Chengfeng spoke, his anger was already rising. The green combat uniform on his body was gradually dyed red by the red light of rage. Well, the more I talk, the angrier I get. I take back what I said in the last chapter. Go to the fridge? No. Now, are you ready to face death? After saying that, Li Chengfeng opened his mouth and a surging blood flame gushed out. But it was blocked 2 meters away from Spencer and the Mother Goddess Miranda. Only then did Li Chengfeng discover that an energy deflection barrier covered the two people in front of him. Looking closely, there are actually several protective magic circles arranged in a staggered manner in the barrier created through technology. This product of the combination of magic and technology is obviously the work of Dr. Doom. It seems that Mother Goddess Miranda gets along well with her neighbors. She even managed to get Doom's toys. Excuse me, Agent Lee. We definitely won't invite the most dangerous man in the FBI to be our guest without any preparation. If you can invite Doom himself over, I might look at you a little more, but..." Li Chengfeng walked to the front of the barrier. "This is not enough." As he spoke, Li Chengfeng thrust his hands, emitting blood flames and rage-red light, fiercely into the barrier. This deflection barrier that was strong enough to withstand the explosion of an intercontinental missile was torn into two halves by Li Chengfeng like tearing a piece of bread. Looking at the barrier that began to burn, Spencer's eyes suddenly widened. Thanks to Nick Fury's information blockade, people outside the FBI don't have a deep understanding of Li Chengfeng. Just like Spencer only knew that Li Chengfeng had the Green Lantern, and that was because the Green Lantern was taken away from Weskier. In his opinion, no matter how strong Li Chengfeng is, can he be stronger than Dr. Doom, who is almost indistinguishable from a god? But now it seems that he really found the great white shark while fishing. But there was no shark net in front of him. Both Spencer and Miranda were beginning to despair. Miranda has lost the connection with the Fungus Master due to the mutation of the Fungus Master, so naturally she cannot merge with the Fungus Master and become the Black God like in the game. And the normal Mother Goddess Miranda is not even as good as Heisenberg. But coincidences often happen at this time. An unprecedentedly powerful pulsation emanated from the cocoon. This time, even the detectives and agents who were cleaning out the fungus beasts in the mother nest felt it. What followed was a complete explosion. Spencer instantly showed a look of ecstasy. Ha ha ha! Success! The god that descended upon the Fungus Master has finally awakened. After saying this, he even ignored his frail body and used his hands to push his wheelchair to the observation window. Then he climbed down from the wheelchair and knelt on the ground devoutly. Li Chengfeng frowned, and used the rage-red light to materialize a spherical prison to lock up the Mother Goddess Miranda inside. Then he came to Spencer. "You actually think that the one born from that cocoon is a god? If he is not a god, how can he possess such powerful energy?" Spencer's voice was a little fanatical. "He must have brought me apocalypse." Li Chengfeng curled his lips. He didn't expect that this old man who had studied viruses and science all his life would become a fanatical believer within a week. It seems that even a rational scientist would be overwhelmed by the fear of reaching the end of his life. At this time, Li Chengfeng began to feel a little sorry for this old BCH. "You should have told me you were so afraid of death. If I had said it earlier, I would have been a good help to you just now." Followed by an indescribable sharp insect chirp. The purple lantern beast in the cocoon finally revealed its true appearance in front of Li Chengfeng. Sure enough, it was an energy creature whose entire body was made up of the purple light of love. The insect's body is about 10 meters long, and its wingspan is nearly 40 meters. If it were a little bigger, the space would not be enough for it to stretch its wings. Spencer bowed his head humbly with enthusiasm and admiration, murmuring, "Purple God, please grant me eternal life and immortal body." Li Chengfeng definitely won't care about Spencer's crazy words. Besides, Zi Deng couldn't do something as incredible as creation. And why does this brand new and different purple lantern beast in front of me look so familiar? A name suddenly flashed through Li Chengfeng's mind and he slapped his head. "Oh my god! This cute big head! Isn't this TNND Mothra?" Chapter 157. Grumble. Purple lantern beast. Never mind. Just call her Mothra. It flapped its wings twice and hovered in the air. Li Chengfeng was speechless about her biological instinct. As an energy creature born from the emotional spectrum, she was born to be able to go anywhere, including other dimensions. However, because it successfully transformed into a cocoon with the help of the Fungus Master and changed its original form, it still retains some of the instincts of physical creatures. Facing this situation, Li Chengfeng was also numb. The image of the lamp beast in the comics is fixed, and the ion shark and blood bowl beside him are no different from the original comics except for the file size. Even the new orange lantern beast bred with Hela, the Midgard python, is at least the same kind of creature as the lust python in the original work. But now this purple lantern beast has transformed from a big meaty worm into Mothra. She flapped huge amounts of wings, and her countless compound eyes stared at Spencer who was kneeling before her. "Chi!" Mothra made another sharp explosion, and then a royal sister's voice that was completely different from the explosion spread throughout the entire nest. "Oswell Spencer, there is no love in your heart, or you only love yourself. You don't deserve my power." Li Chengfeng shuddered all over. This voice sounds like it's at least an F-cup. After saying that, the two tentacles on the big head extended and connected to Spencer's body, Under the dazzling purple light of love, Spencer's dying body was gradually bulging with muscles, but in the blink of an eye, it had swelled to an extremely morbid appearance. Every inch of those weirdly swollen muscles was filled with the purple light of love. Finally, as Spencer laughed in delight and frenzy, he finally exploded into a bloody mist. Mothra tilted her big cute head, her voice sounding both innocent and cruel. You see, even if I force the power of love into your body, it will be useless. Every cell in your body cannot contain love. Li Chengfeng looked at Spencer, who had completely disappeared between heaven and earth, without any fluctuation in his heart. This old BCH should have died a long time ago. But he didn't expect that he would be blown up by the purple light of love. Can the energy of the emotional spectrum be used in this way? This is not concrete. But what Mothra said was right. Spencer, a biological weapons dealer, was ruthless and heartless, which was an understatement. It's serious in humanity. Even with the teacher, Mother Goddess Miranda, it is essentially because we have common interests that we can always treat each other with respect. If the Mother Goddess Miranda had not chosen to cooperate with him and come to Raccoon City together, I'm afraid Spencer would have found a way to kill his teacher. Over the years, the number of civilians who have died in biochemical crises around the world has definitely exceeded several million. These human lives can basically be blamed on that old BCH Spencer. Fortunately, it was blown up by the purple light of love, otherwise this old lamp would be a natural black light. Mothra, do you know who I am? Li Chengfeng lifted his feet off the ground and flew in front of Mothra. Mothra? Are you calling me? Mothra tilted her big head, and Li Chengfeng actually saw joy on the face of a fluttering moth. Li Chengfeng from Earth, I like this name. Li Chengfeng nodded. It seemed that as a mature purple lantern beast, Mothra clearly had the ability to obtain information from other emotional spectrum energies. It's good to know now. Li Chengfeng nodded, and then two light beasts, one red and one green, came out from Li Chengfeng's heart again. Then it grows against the wind. It didn't stop until it expanded to more than one person's height. After a period of nourishment and growth, the ionic shark and the blood slaughter bull have obviously begun to grow up, and the time they can be fused with Li Chengfeng is getting longer and longer. It just can't be compared with a mature lamp beast like Mothra. And the voice doesn't seem to change as you grow. Hi, hi, hi. It's finally my turn to appear. Shut up. You kidney-deficient shark. You're disturbing Niu's eyes. I'm just going to argue. How dare you say that to others? Li Chengfeng's face was full of embarrassment. I let you out to scare off this big purple moth. I'm not asking you to come out and act cute and start a fight. Ahem, you two are almost done. Li Chengfeng stretched out his hand and hit the head of the kidney deficiency shark and the clamp bull respectively. As they cried out in pain, two large bags, one red and one green, emerged from the heads of the two lamp beasts respectively. Mothra looked at the two lamp beasts curiously. You guys, are so small. This naive remark directly broke the defense of kidney deficiency shark and clip Niu, two guys who became more and more abstract under Li Chengfeng's influence. Listen to me. What are you talking about? What do you mean by really small? I am young and beautiful. I need to grow up, don't you understand? That's right. What's wrong with Niu being a little smaller? He's still cute even if he's small. Don't believe me? Then ask Li Chengfeng if the little Niu is cute. Li Chengfeng, no, are you too sick? Chapter 158. Ha ha ha, you guys, are really funny. Mothra watched the interaction between Li Chengfeng and the two lamp beasts and was actually amused to laugh out loud. Li Chengfeng was a little surprised. To be honest, if it weren't for her size, he would definitely mistake Mothra for a newborn lamp beast. A bit, too naive. Mothra, can you tell me how long you have existed? How long, time? I don't know what that means. I just remember that this planet has orbited 10 times since I came into existence. Revolved 10 times. That is 10 years. This time, isn't it too coincidental? Li Chengfeng couldn't help but shift his gaze to Ada Wong, who was laid flat on the ground by Harley Quinn. It was also 10 years ago that Ada met the future Li Chengfeng. If you say there is no connection, Li Chengfeng won't believe it at all. He has already figured out the nature of this B-universe. Don't think too much about it. The more you think about it, the more outrageous it becomes. On the contrary, the first instinct is basically very close to the truth. Moreover, Li Chengfeng has now more or less realized that he is actually the source of all evil in this universe. Mothra followed Li Chengfeng's gaze and could no longer move her eyes away from the countless pairs of compound eyes. Gee! Such a rich purple light! Such a deep love! I want her! Li Chengfeng turned around suddenly and saw Mothra's huge body approaching the observation room. Ion Shark! Blood Bowl! Stop her! Li Chengfeng immediately turned on both lights, and the red and green lights turned into an insect net, covering Mothra from all directions. The Blood Bowl and Ionic Shark carried the most original red light of rage and green light of will, attempting to directly trap Mothra inside. But after discovering the purple light of love from King Aida, which was so rich that it seemed tangible, Mothra's eyes were no longer focused on anything else. The huge body suddenly transformed into countless smaller versions of Mothra and pounced towards King Aida. Even though Li Chengfeng was working with the two lamp beasts, he was caught off guard by this move. Even when his two lamps were combined, they were still unable to completely suppress the energy level of the mature lamp beast. More and more little Mothra slipped through the encirclement, and Harley Quinn waved the adamantium bat to drive them away, but to no avail. As the first Mothra successfully merged into King Ada's body, the rest all turned into purple light of love, pouring into King Ada's body like a purple torrent. This torrent is like love, turbulent, fierce, and full of hidden waves. Then, Ada Wong wakes up. She suddenly opened her eyes, and with the purple lantern beast possessing her, the purple light of love shone upon all living beings from the inside out. It was as if a real goddess had descended from the sky. Just like Red Lantern, in addition to the rage red light, it will also produce blood flames from within the body, burning all flammable and non-flammable substances. The purple lantern can create purple crystals, which can not only imprison enemies in amethysts and brainwash them, but also shape weapons with amethysts. Purple crystals have already begun to form around Queen Ada, and the power contained in her body is no less than when Li Chengfeng transformed into the Blood Butcher. But Li Chengfeng already had the Red Lantern ring at that time, and the power of the Blood Butcher was at his fingertips. King Aida was possessed by Mothra, but there was no purple lantern ring to restrict and guide her. When the light beast and the human combine under such circumstances, there is only one ending: out of control. The combat uniform on King Ada instantly turned purple, making the already mysterious beauty even more gorgeous. The next moment, King Ada stepped on the purple crystal that appeared out of thin air and came in front of Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng, 10 years ago, I fell in love with the 25-year-old you from the future. 10 years later, it's my first time meeting you at the age of 25. Obviously I was here first. Why did it become like this? Every time King Ada spoke a word, his expression would twist a little. The intense emotion in the eyes will also deepen. Li Chengfeng naturally knew what that was. That is the most negative emotion in love, envy. Even the crazy little Harley Quinn realized the seriousness of the matter at this moment. The one with black hair seems even crazier than her now. As a highly educated lunatic, she would not easily offend someone who is crazier than her. She is crazy, but she is not stupid. So she sneaked aside and began pretending to study the equipment in the observation room. Well, this monitor is really good looking. However, there was no point in running now. The one skill that a woman caught in love and jealousy has the most. It's called digging up old accounts. Why are you kissing Harley Quinn? And you're so skilled at it. And that BD death god from Asgard. Why can he hold her hand without any hesitation? You scumbag. Shameless BD. But, I like the worst version of you in the world, the most. After saying that, King Aida threw himself into Li Chengfeng's arms. A pair of slender hands clenched into fists and punched Li Chengfeng's chest as if to vent their anger. Although it looks very beautiful, as if she is throwing herself into Li Chengfeng's arms and acting coquettishly. But only Li Chengfeng knew how powerful these fists were when possessed by Mothra. After only 3 punches, Li Chengfeng, who was in the combined state of red and green lights, felt something was wrong. Well, Ada, be gentle. I feel like my sternum is a little cracked. Chapter 159. Li Chengfeng had to deny it, no matter the lines or the current situation. White. Too white. Bai Suejin is indeed one of the internet legends. Li Chengfeng thought he could empathize with King Ada's feelings, but now is really not the time to be distracted. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng silently opened the third lamp ring on his ring finger. The orange light merged into the torrent of red and green, forming a strange balance. Finally, when the three lights combined, Li Chengfeng's overall strength has completely surpassed Hela. Now, he even felt that the normal big Kansas guy would be defeated by him. This is the confidence that comes with strength. And the small fist that just fractured his sternum hitting your chest finally doesn't break your defense instantly. This also gave Li Chengfeng enough time to deal with Mothra. Ada! Wake up! A hole! I love you so much. Why are you always so distant to me? No, don't get so excited. And you're still doubting me, doubting the truth of my loving you for 10 years. Depend on. When Li Chengfeng saw that he could not awaken Queen Ada's normal consciousness, but instead made her fall deeper and deeper into jealousy, he could only curse and then kiss her fiercely. If she can't wake up, then tell her to shut up. The moment their lips and teeth touched, King Ada's eyes suddenly widened. The rich purple light of love bloomed for a moment, then gradually dissipated, revealing slightly tired but rational eyes. The kiss lasted a full 5 minutes. Fortunately, King Ada was possessed by Mothra at this moment, otherwise he would have fainted from lack of oxygen. At this time, Li Chengfeng let go of the red lips he had been holding and found that the 5 minutes of deep kiss had made Ada's lips slightly swollen. Suppressing the romantic feelings in his heart, he grabbed King Ada's palm-sized face and asked seriously, "How is it, can we communicate normally?" "Yes, I can." Ada, who had temporarily regained her sanity, found that her current actions were somewhat indecent. Then he released his legs from Li Chengfeng and did a light backflip to the ground. Li Chengfeng let out a long breath. This is not a temporary whim. After all, everything that should have happened had already happened on the shores of Lake Inari, and he was not Lu Xiaowai. The reason why he chose to kiss Ada Wang, who had completely lost her mind, was because there was a successful case in the original book. That is the incident in the big event The Whitest Day, in which the socially phobic Abraham Pavenet stalked a girl named Lisa for 2 years, following her and taking pictures. The most amazing thing is that there hasn't been any flaws in the past 2 years. And Abraham continued to long for Lisa's love. It is this deep and morbid love, and the desire to be loved, that attracted the original Purple Lantern Beast and Plunder Beast. Carol, Hal Jordan's girlfriend, recovered the Ravager with a kiss after using the Star Sapphire ring to guide it correctly. Li Chengfeng followed suit and naturally succeeded. The original work was just a light kiss, but Li Chengfeng kissed her for a full 5 minutes. As for whether there is any selfishness, he said no. Does anyone believe it? No matter what, at least Li Chengfeng made Ada regain her sanity before starting the next step. I originally wanted to ask Tony or Doom to use this thing to help you build a mecha. Li Chengfeng said to Ada as he opened the pocket space, but now it seems, everything is God's will. Reaching out, a ball of what looked like liquid silver metal appeared in Li Chengfeng's hand, as big as a human head. That was the galaxy glaze that had returned from the heavenly kingdom. Ada Wang looked at Galaxy Glaze, then at Li Chengfeng. You mean, build the Purple Lantern Furnace now? Li Chengfeng shook his head and then came up with a bolder idea. No, to be more precise, I want to build a lamp furnace armor that you can wear. Lamp furnace armor? King Ada frowned and shook his head. I don't quite understand. Don't understand? In the original work, when Norrin Rider was transformed by the planet Devourer using galactic glaze combined with the power of the universe and became the legendary Silver Glider, he did not understand what this power was. But it does not affect his strength. Just wait and see. Li Chengfeng said confidently. The principle of the Lantern Furnace armor is similar to that of the Silver Glider, except that the Silver Glider is a combination of galactic glaze and cosmic power. The Lamp Furnace armor is Galaxy Glaze plus Love Purple Light. It can not only find a container for the Lamp Beast, but also gather the purple light and the power of the Lamp Beast to power the armor. Galaxy Glaze is both a carrier and a binder. I will always believe in you. King Ada opened his arms and closed his eyes. Hurry up, I can already feel the unwilling rhythm of the Lamp Beast. She is going to take the upper hand again. Upon hearing this, Li Chengfeng did not dare to be negligent. With just a glance, the Ion Shark understood what he meant. After circling in the air, it turned into a dazzling and pure green light of wool and penetrated into the body of Li Chengfeng, who had closed his eyes. Call. With the next exhalation, Li Chengfeng opened his eyes. Time and space appeared before his eyes in a strange way. Ion Man, here we go again. Chapter 160. This was Li Chengfeng's second time merging with the Ion Shark, and the feeling was very different from the previous experience. The last time he was in a life and death situation, and it was only for a minute, so he had no time to study Ion Man's ability in detail. Although we now have to use the power of Ion Man to build the lantern furnace armor, overall it is basically a natural thing. The sense of urgency is indeed completely different from when we faced Sidorak. So that's how it is. The power of Ion Man. Li Chengfeng clenched his fists, feeling time and space flowing through his fingers. No wonder this kind of power can't last long. It's still a bit outrageous after all. When the lamp beasts are combined, except for the blue lamp which is originally a pure auxiliary, the other lamp beasts are all supermodels. Among them, the most outrageous is the Ion Man formed by the fusion of Ion Shark. Definitely, this is said within the context of the 7 Lantern Corps. The other ones, such as black light, white light and invisible light, are purely extraneous. Whenever they appear, they are basically at the top level, so there is not much point in discussing their combat effectiveness. But this is not Ion's solo magazine. In this mixed universe, no one has the halo of the protagonist. All powerful forces must pay a corresponding price. Oh, except for the big guy from Kansas. This is Ion Man. Now Li Chengfeng is hugging King Ada, so she is also pulled into the field she is in now. Well, although kidney deficiency Shark is no longer the novice who could only last 1 minute, the kidney deficiency problem still exists. Let's hurry up. Li Chengfeng felt a buzzing sound from the green lantern ring on his hand, expressing dissatisfaction. This is the kidney deficient Shark condemning him. What's the point of having a cricket shark behind you? Li Chengfeng grinned. Don't bother with a guy with kidney deficiency. Then, he mobilized Ion's ability to reshape reality. First, transform the unreasonable rich purple light of love on King Ada's body into energy and integrate it into the galaxy glaze. Without external support, even if galaxy glaze has the capacity to absorb the power of the universe, it will not be able to immediately absorb this huge emotional spectrum energy. But in Ion's realm, independent of time and reality, this integration happens almost instantly. Just like the invincible planet Devourer does. And with the end of integrate, Galaxy Glaze also underwent some changes due to the characteristics of the purple light of love. If the original Galaxy Glaze was a metal that looked like liquid. After integration, the galactic glaze lost its metallic properties and gradually transformed into crystals. Its appearance was extremely similar to the purple crystal created by King Ada after being possessed. But the original characteristic of infinite extension and change is still retained. To be honest, neither the physical nor the chemical properties make sense. Finally, after it was completely crystallized, it also completely transformed into purple. Li Chengfeng nodded. The power of the pure emotional spectrum is no lower in quality than the power of the universe, but as a power affected by the emotions of the host, its performance is uneven. And because of their respective characteristics, in special situations, they are much stronger than the panacea of cosmic power. King Ada was shocked when he saw the galaxy glaze in front of him, which had turned into purple crystal. She had just witnessed something that defied science. Changing the physical properties of an object. Can Ion's power do this? Ion Man can indeed do it, but this is more of an integration of galaxy glaze and love purple light itself. I just accelerated the process. So what should I do next? It's very simple. Li Chengfeng grabbed Ada Wang's wrists and guided her to hold the new galaxy glaze against her chest. The Mothra in Aida's body has obviously felt the incomparably powerful purple light of love after integration with the galaxy glaze. After repeated consideration, he decided to get out of King Ada's innate purple lamp holy body. King Aida couldn't help but straighten her chest, an endless purple light lit up from it, and Mothra finally left her body. Look, this heartless glutton has been caught, right? Li Chengfeng smiled and reached out to Mothra. However, the originally huge amounts of Mothra became smaller and smaller as Li Chengfeng stretched out his hand, until he grasped it in his palm. Gee! Li Chengfeng! Why are you arresting me? Nonsense! What are you doing in my woman's body every day? Does your sister have a family? Gee! You have a strong accent. After making another shrill insect-like sound, Li Chengfeng stuffed the shrunken Mothra directly into the galaxy glaze. But the next moment, Mothra's expression changed immediately. Gee! It's so comfortable in here. Even more comfortable than inside Ada's body. FK, if you can't speak, just shut up. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes, and then began to accelerate the assimilation of the lamp beast and the galaxy glaze. And King Ada's innate purple lamp holy body came in handy. Galaxy glaze, whose nature has been assimilated by the purple light of love and the power of Mothra, at the moment took the initiative to attach itself to Ada Wong's body like a child looking for his mother. It spread from the chest to all parts of the body, and below the neck it turned into a suit of amethyst armor. Translucent but not transparent. Li Chengfeng felt a little disappointed. This is really hard to match. King Ada tried to move his hands and feet, but found that the armor on his body was made of crystals, but it was extremely flexible, as if there was no sense of restraint on his body. Even the friction and collision between the crystals was silent. A mark slightly larger than a fist gradually appeared on her chest. It is the symbol of the purple lantern core. Then a voice similar to Mothra's was heard from the lantern furnace armor, but without any emotion. Intelligent life has been targeted. Ada Wong from Earth. There is a great deal of love in your heart. Welcome to join the Galaxy Glaze Army. Li Chengfeng was not surprised when Den Glue sounded a welcome speech to King Aida. But he didn't expect that the original Star Sapphire Legion would change into the Galaxy Glaze Legion. This has never been seen before. It turns out that if the origin of the Lantern Furnace changes too much, the welcome speech and even the oath of the Lantern Group will change. Queen Ada naturally also heard the welcome speech of the Galaxy Glaze Army. She witnessed many people receiving the lantern rings, but when it was her turn, she was a little at a loss. But after all, the characteristics of the new purple lamp are unique. When the welcome speech sounded, the original lamp furnace armor gathered towards King Ada's right hand. Finally, it turned into a purple crystal lamp ring, which was firmly placed on her ring finger. It is not only a battle armor, but also a lamp furnace and a lamp ring. Unique. Fear and confusion connect our two hearts, it's hard to sleep alone in the darkest night. Slender fingers enter the ring to change makeup, the world is filled with lonely love and purple light. Chapter 161. Harley Quinn carried her adamantium bat and circled twice around the place where Ada Wong and Li Chengfeng had just disappeared. Wow! My goodness, where have you been? It's just a kiss, are you so embarrassed that you run away? However, when he turned around, he saw that the spherical prison created by Rage's red light still existed, firmly controlling the mother goddess Miranda, so he knew that these two people must be fine. Since nothing happened. It doesn't matter then. So she started tinkering around with the instruments. But it got boring pretty quickly. Just when she was bored, a group of people came up the stairs. It was Phil Coulson and others who had been clearing out the fungus beasts along the way and finally arrived. Harley Quinn greeted her good friends in a naturally sunny and cheerful manner. Hey, guys, you're finally here. But just as he finished speaking, he realized that everyone was in a state of distress. It seems that there are indeed a lot of fungus beasts. The most elite biochemical experts and FBI agents have worked together to make themselves suffer like this. Oliver Queen rolled his eyes and said with a gasp, there are indeed a lot of fungus beasts, and they are much stronger than those zombies, but they are still not enough. That's right, cricket beasts, I'll kill them all with one sword. Wade Wilson leaned his elbow on Oliver Queen's shoulder, but the reason we're in such a mess is mainly because when we were taking the elevator up just now, the elevator inexplicably entered emergency braking mode and got stuck in a position with no entrance or exit. We could only climb to the top of the elevator shaft with our bare hands to get out. Oh my god! Dr. Harley, why did you suddenly start smashing things? Ahaha, it's okay, it's okay. You know I'm a lunatic. It's normal to have a seizure occasionally. Harley Quinn took back the adamantium bat that smashed the monitor and console, smiled guiltily, and threw away the fragments with the emergency braking logo. FK. Who is so unethical to throw construction waste in public places? As luck would have it, the fragments just happened to hit the face of Li Chengfeng, who had just emerged from the Ion Man domain with King Aida. Although there was no harm, Li Chengfeng was really scared. Phil Coulson, you guys are here? Have you completely cleared out the fungus beasts outside? Yes, where are the culprits? Spencer, has landed in a few dozen meters. Li Chengfeng shrugged, but the other one is still there. Li Chengfeng pointed at the mother goddess Miranda and continued, well, your forces have been completely destroyed, and Mrs. Dimitrescu has been sent back to the FBI's research institute. We should be able to get a vaccine against E-mold soon. The mother goddess Miranda, who was bound in the red prison, did not respond, but her eyes lost focus and she kept mumbling. No, it won't. The mushroom master won't disappear, Eva. My Eva. But no matter how she deceived herself, when the purple lantern beast Mothra broke out of its cocoon, the master of fungus had already died completely. With the fall of the highest authority of E-Mold, as an agent who relied on the master of fungus to prolong her life, the immortal face of the mother goddess Miranda finally began to age. The power dissipated. But Ethan walked up to the prison cell, his tone very calm. Although you have harmed many people, I hope your daughter can find eternal peace. Ethan Winters, your daughter and wife are in the secret room on the bottom floor. Mother Goddess Miranda completely calcified after saying this. Then it turned into powder. Li Chengfeng also removed the rage red light, walked forward and patted Ethan on the shoulder. I wanted to tell him the truth about Ethan's body, but in the end I couldn't say it. Go ahead, tough guy. Your wife and daughter are waiting for you. The Resident Evil team immediately followed Ethan to the first floor. Leon pulled Claire and ran in front. Come with me. Claire and I have been here before, and we know the exact location of the secret room. First, let go of my sister's hand. After Mia and Rose, Ethan Winter's wife and children, were successfully rescued, Li Chengfeng took everyone to the sandbox. Mrs. Dimitrescu and her 3 fly daughters were sent here for research after being imprisoned. As soon as I walked out of the portal, I saw Gemma using swords, spears, axes, hooks and forks to skillfully target Mrs. Dimitrescu. Fitz, on the other hand, huddled to one side with his shoulders hugged, looking like a submissive. Their most recent mission is to provide technical support at the Sandbox Research Center. The production of E. coli vaccine falls within the professional field of Gemma, a master of biology. Thank God, Li, you have solved the problem safely. Seeing everyone coming out of the portal, Gemma nodded to Li Chengfeng, the vaccine is only 1 step away. I need to take some more biological samples to confirm the parameters. I'll help, too. Rebecca, one of the main characters in the Resident Evil series, came out. She has been relegated to the second line since she left the STARS team. She is the greatest authority on antibiochemical virus research today. With her help, Gemma can complete the E-Mold vaccination at least 2 hours earlier. Li Chengfeng looked at Fitz, who had just shrank aside after greeting him. No, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of flies. They're so gross. Not to mention 3 women made up of a swarm of mimic flies. Li Chengfeng wanted to laugh when he heard this but held it back. Although it's embarrassing, this trait somehow suits Fitz. He is destined to be conquered by Gemma, the biology expert, for the rest of his life. Soon, the vaccine prototype was completed. Li Chengfeng immediately took the vaccine, opened the portal again and took everyone to the FBI's operations meeting room. The sandbox is a place where only high-tech research can be carried out, but mass production is impossible. Nick Fury raised his head and looked at the crowd filing out of the portal, feeling a little confused. There were only 6 people when we left. How come it's more than doubled after coming back? And one holding a child? Fury, these people are the ones who broke into the blockade. I have brought them back to you safely. You can negotiate with BSAA and CIA for the specific situation. Li Chengfeng said, turned around and handed the vaccine to Max. Give the vaccine to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, mass-produce it immediately, and then sprinkle it on Raccoon City in the form of artificial rainfall. No problem, sir. I promise this rain will come harder than Caroline's period. Mission New Raccoon City Incident has been completed. Quest-related characters, Mother Goddess Miranda, Donna Benevento, Oliver Queen, Leon S. Kennedy. Obtain the Black God consciousness of Mother Goddess Miranda. Get Donna Benevento's plant manipulation. Get Oliver Queen's shooter ability. Get Leon S. Kennedy's vehicle killer. Chapter 162. Li Chengfeng took a breath of cold air. He now didn't know whether this crappy system was here to help or to take revenge. It would be unfair to say that the things he gave were useless. But insisting that it is useful is a bit unreasonable. But you still have to study it carefully, just in case there are hidden benefits that you don't know about. So Li Chengfeng first focused his attention on the Black God consciousness he obtained from the Mother Goddess Miranda. To put it simply, this Black God consciousness is the vast spiritual realm of the Fungus Master. Why is the Mother Goddess Miranda so persistent and determined that she can resurrect her daughter Eva? Because the consciousness, or souls, of thousands of people, including Eva, who were directly absorbed by the Fungus Master, are stored in this Black God consciousness. It is equivalent to an almost unlimited soul storage tank. Another function is to create a spiritual world within this field of consciousness. You should know that the original DLC content of Resident Evil 8, that is, Ethan's daughter Rose, adventures in the spiritual world constructed in the consciousness of the Black God and reunites with her father. Unlike the Black God consciousness in the original game, Li Chengfeng's Black God consciousness is completely blank and does not inherit the messy things in the Fungus Master's consciousness. How to construct this spiritual world depends entirely on his own ideas. To be honest, it's actually pretty good. This thing may only be a spiritual world now, but you can never tell what it will be like in the future. After all, Li Chengfeng has a thing called TIE particles in his hand, maybe he can achieve some strange linkage? Next up, Plant Manipulation by Donna Benevento. Nothing much to say, low-profile poison ivy. And it is an all-round low profile. But the only advantage is that it will not be connected to the green of all things. Li Chengfeng couldn't help but feel a chill when he thought about becoming an extreme environmentalist like poison ivy. This is outrageous. Oliver Queen's shooting ability was a pleasant surprise. As long as it is something that can be thrown, it is applicable to this ability. He has long wanted to play Captain America or Captain Carter's shield. The strange and originally incomprehensible catapulting arc can now be directly reproduced in the mind after possessing Oliver Queen's shooting ability. How to apply force, at what angle to throw it, and in which direction to move to catch it perfectly. Conceptual stuff always comes in handy. After reading the first three, even if Li Chengfeng didn't want to anymore, he had reached the new ability that he least wanted to face. People really shouldn't complain about certain things too much. In this boomerang age, who knows which of your words will come back to haunt you. Li Chengfeng looked at the introduction of the vehicle killer ability with great annoyance. The more he looked at it, the more comfortable his eggs felt. This is not just a conceptual skill. It's still an active skill. If Leon S. Kennedy's passive vehicle killer is the worst of the worst. But after the passive skill became an active skill, Li Chengfeng was amazed. What a lucky break! Li Chengfeng announced unilaterally. From today on, Leon S. Kennedy is his half-brother. Li Chengfeng even had the idea of recruiting all the biochemical protagonists into the FBI. What if we perform missions together in the future and discover some other conceptual skills? For example, the active version of Teammate Killer. The mass production and dissemination of vaccines are proceeding rapidly. It was even spread before this evening. Li Chengfeng stood on the Heffen, side by side with Nick Fury, watching the sun gradually rise from the horizon and the sunlight shining on the earth. There is no trace of E-mold on the earth. Li, actually, every time an event ends, I always think about a question. Why? Do you think my salary is too low? It's indeed low. But what I'm thinking is, if you had never appeared in this world, what would be the direction of these events? I'm not bragging about my new B. If I weren't there, the problem would still be solved, but... Li Chengfeng shook his head, this universe will accelerate its pace of destruction. Nick Fury turned his head suddenly, with surprise in his one eye. Are you serious? Even though I gave you a nickname, took your car and flirted with your daughter, I never lied to you. You attacked Harley. FK, isn't your focus wrong? Nick Fury heard this and temporarily resisted the urge to punch Li Chengfeng in the eye. He then coughed twice and continued, ahem, you really didn't lie to me. He indeed saw everything Li Chengfeng did. Trust is a mutual thing. Although I am an overly suspicious guy, Li Chengfeng gave me complete trust from beginning to end. How paranoid is Nick Fury? He is a ruthless person who even doubts and deceives himself. But now he has absolute trust in Li Chengfeng. It is no problem to say that Li Chengfeng is now the absolute second in command with equal power to him. If Li Chengfeng did not need to stay on the front line, Nick Fury would have even planned to give the position of director directly to Li Chengfeng. He raised the issue of changing the secondment into transfer to the general administration of the Republic at least dozens of times. They were all denied by that guy from Dow Brothers. And every time he would reply to himself with a dog head emoji, and then follow up with a sentence, "Do you think my brother is stupid?" Nick Fury would be broken down every time. Are people in the TNND Republic so good at messing with people's mentality? Since you haven't lied to me, can you explain why the pace of destruction of this universe will accelerate without you? This involves threats from outside the universe. Li Chengfeng curled his lips. Even though he seems to have no pressure, there is always something weighing on his mind. That is to make the positive forces in this universe stronger. Although there are already 2 gods on Earth, located in Metropolis and Storybrooke, this is not enough. Dr. Liang, who is sunbathing on the rooftop of the headquarters at this moment, also indirectly proves that outside of this universe, there is also the Foundation universe, which can be called the cancer of the multi-universe. Outside the universe. Nick Fury murmured. He originally thought that the biggest threat came from outside the Earth, but Li Chengfeng said that the biggest threat came from outside the universe. Doesn't that mean? The things that I have planned need to be changed. The goal of shielding the Earth has been completely abandoned. Their ultimate goal is to arm the entire universe to the teeth. Thinking of this, Nick Fury sighed. This is no longer just the responsibility of the America General Agency. It seems. It is necessary to call a meeting of the 5 major bureaus. Li Chengfeng. What's wrong? It's okay. If you make Harley unhappy, I will definitely cut all your funding. Your current mentality is quite similar to that of the other one-eyed old man. Who is that? Oh, that old guy is called Odin. Nothing special, just an ordinary king of God. Chapter 163. Nick Fury has always been very active. Just like when they first thought of creating S.H.I.E.L.D. to specifically deal with extraterrestrial forces, they had already launched a space station to serve as a base, and it was now floating in low Earth orbit. As the host of the meeting of the 5 general bureaus, Nick Fury acted decisively and directly sent invitations to the other 4 general bureaus. Originally, Nick Fury wanted Li Chengfeng to attend as well. After all, it was Li Chengfeng who proposed this matter. But who is Li Chengfeng? Let him attend the meeting? You wish. Let the 5 major bureaus discuss it among themselves. After giving Nick Fury a sunny yet cheeky smile, Li Chengfeng jumped into the portal. FKU. You always put all these annoying things on my head. Li Chengfeng definitely can no longer hear Nick Fury's complaints. He came to the FBI's medical department. The team members who just participated in this operation and the protagonists of Resident Evil are all here. Hey, Phil Coulson, are you done with the checkup? All of our people have been tested, and there is no trace of E-mold. That's good. What about the others? This result was within Li Chengfeng's expectations. After all, although the few people on the FBI team who were on this mission did not have any special abilities, they were all elites among elites. If they could be infected by a group of fungus beasts, they really wouldn't have to stay in this line of work. Go home and sell sweet potatoes or become a president. As for the others, you can see for yourself. Phil Coulson said this and took Li Chengfeng to another room. This room is larger and more fully equipped, and all the bigwigs in the FBI's medical department are gathered here. Joint consultation by experts. The person being diagnosed was our dear humanoid fungus beast, Ethan Winters. As for other Resident Evil protagonists, they have also become the focus of observation. Amazing, so amazing. Stephen Strange, the top surgical expert of the FBI's medical department, took off his medical gloves and walked towards the 2. It is obviously the same species as those strange-looking fungus beasts that were transported back, but it still retains human consciousness and memory. I don't know if it is the positive effect of E-mold or a hymn to the human soul. Good day, Dr. Strange. Li Chengfeng stepped forward and shook hands with the famous Dr. Strange. It is not my intention to wake you up from your sleep to work overtime this time. I suggest that Nick Fury give the medical department a salary increase. Ha ha ha, Agent Li, in the entire America headquarters, apart from you, there is no one else who can force Director Nick Fury to increase his salary. Stephen Strange, before becoming Dr. Strange, was indeed an extremely proud and arrogant guy. But as the saying goes, when you are weak, you are surrounded by bad people. But when you become strong, you will find that everyone is exceptionally kind. Given Li Chengfeng's position in the American General Administration, who would dare to give him a hard time? I'm afraid Hela, Ada Wong, and Harley Quinn are the only 3 women who would torment him when they are jealous. However, Li Chengfeng didn't care much about these things. Has Dr. Strange discovered Ethan Winters' abnormality? That's right. At first I just thought there were some E-mold residues, but later I found out, this is not just some E-mold residues, this is simply a human soul growing out of the E-mold. It's really amazing. Stephen Strange nodded and continued, and it's not just him, his wife and daughter also have obvious abnormalities. His wife had been infected with the E-mold for a long time, but she was always on the borderline between mutation and stability. Definitely now she is stable. But all the other infected people, once they reached this borderline, were irreversibly transformed into those bizarre fungus beasts without exception. And his daughter is even more outrageous. She is the child of a fungus beast and a nearly mutated human. Let's not talk about reproductive isolation and other issues. The most important thing is that his daughter has been tested and can be said to be a perfect carrier of E. coli. 100% stable. In other words, due to various coincidences, a human evolution body was really created through E. coli. Li Chengfeng looked at Stephen Strange, who was extremely excited, and reached out to interrupt him. He was afraid that this guy would not be able to catch his breath, so he just went over to him. Stop, 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 Dr. Strange, just digest these world-shaking discoveries internally. Li Chengfeng continued with a smile, what I want to know is, have you told Ethan about this? Strange finally calmed down a little after being interrupted, but his tone was still a little excited, definitely not. We still abide by the FBI regulations very much. We will not reveal any information to the patient before reporting it to Director Nick Fury for a final decision. That's good. Li Chengfeng nodded. Just let me make the final decision on this matter. Don't tell Ethan the truth. Just remember to report to Nick Fury later. It will definitely be as you wish. Strange nodded, not thinking there was anything wrong with being ordered by the young man in front of him. Thank you, Dr. Strange. Li Chengfeng shook hands with Strange again, then walked into Ethan Winter's ward and asked all the experts inside to leave. Just like watching giant pandas. And aren't the other biochemical protagonists peculiar? Who among these people doesn't have some positive strengthening of the biochemical virus? Especially Jill from this universe, she would be considered a promising talent even if she were placed in the FBI Academy. After closing the door, Li Chengfeng walked towards the Ethan family. Good morning, tough guy. Are you okay? Haha, Li, stop teasing me. Fighting is really not something a system engineer like me should do. Ethan smiled easily and introduced, this is my wife, Mia. You must be Agent Li Chengfeng, right? This rescue is really thanks to you. I really don't know how to thank you. Mrs. Winters, just call me by my name. Seeing Mia getting ready to stand up, Li Chengfeng stepped forward to stop her. As long as you are all right, then everything I do is meaningful. As soon as Li Chengfeng finished speaking, Rose, who had been sleeping, opened her eyes, as if she sensed his presence. In those young eyes, there was actually deep calculation and hatred hidden. Li Chengfeng frowned, as if he remembered something, and a gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Can I hug this cute little princess? Definitely, yes, hold her little butt with one hand and her neck with the other. Under Mia's guidance, Li Chengfeng held the newborn baby in his arms. And with this contact, the Black God's consciousness was instantly activated. Li Chengfeng grinned. As expected. He bent his head and whispered in the newborn's ear. Don't hide, Evelyn. Chapter 164. When baby Rose heard Li Chengfeng's voice, her eyes suddenly widened. His eyes were full of disbelief. Obviously, she can occupy this body directly. She had obviously concealed the truth. Why? This man, why did he find her? Li Chengfeng looked at this look and his smile widened. There is actually a trace of this matter. At first, as Evelyn's guardian, Mia was exposed to Evelyn's E-mold for a long time and became infected. After Ethan's death, it was because of the E-mold spread by Evelyn that he was transformed into a humanoid fungus beast. It is also known that the E-mold is connected to the master of the fungus, that is, the consciousness of the Black God. Then the child born by Mia and Ethan is a container with perfect mold adaptability, and there are two consciousnesses in this container from beginning to end. One is Ethan and Mia's daughter, Rose. The other is Evelyn. Evelyn must be looking for an opportunity to devour or kill Rose's consciousness so as to truly occupy this body. In her opinion, the FBI agent in front of her must be here to stop her. However, in fact, Li Chengfeng actually wanted to give her a chance to survive. Because from the DLC content of Resident Evil 8, Li Chengfeng learned that Evelyn was the one who was completely eaten up by Rose. After all, Evelyn is a defective product, while Rose is perfect. And now the Black God's consciousness has established a connection with Rose through the contact between Li Chengfeng and Rose. Now he didn't need to speak, he could communicate with Evelyn and Rose through his consciousness. Evelyn, I'm giving you a chance. Wait. No. How can you possess the Black God's consciousness? This is clearly the master of fungi. It's obviously unique to the mushroom owner, right? Li Chengfeng's expression remained unchanged, and he continued to talk to Evelyn in his consciousness. You have been dead for 3 years, and many things have happened in these 3 years that you can't understand at all. So come out of Rose's body. A defective product cannot possibly compete with Rose, the most perfect container of e-mold. The Black God's consciousness is your destiny. Li Chengfeng didn't really want to save Evelyn's life. He did this first of all to reduce the hardships for the Ethan family, who had suffered so much. The second is that Black God's consciousness is a little too empty. It would be nice to find an old employee of the mushroom owner to take care of it. No. I don't want to enter the Dark God's consciousness. That would essentially mean assimilation. I don't want that. What nonsense are you talking about? Assimilation and absorption are the characteristics of the fungus master, not the characteristics of the Black God's consciousness. Li Chengfeng made a face at Rose. If you don't have any knowledge, just ask me. Don't be stupid and talk nonsense. FK. A sentence that Li Chengfeng was very familiar with came into Li Chengfeng's ears, and then he felt the Black God's consciousness shake. He knew that Evelyn still chose to enter it. After all, he was a clone created artificially since childhood and was only used as a tool and a test subject. He never went to school and had no culture. Born under such circumstances, Evelyn is dangerous but hardly smart. It's about the same difficulty as fooling Hulk. The moment Evelyn left, Rose's new consciousness completely took over, and the baby's eyes became pure and flawless again. What a good kid! Li Chengfeng had achieved his goal, so naturally there was no need for him to hold someone else's daughter in his arms anymore. After putting Rose back on Mia's bed, Li Chengfeng did not intend to leave. Instead, he smiled and asked Ethan, and Mia, are you interested in joining the FBI? Excuse me. Don't be too quick to refuse. When Li Chengfeng saw the two people's expressions change suddenly, he knew that the couple was somewhat sensitive about this topic. After all, Mia was originally an agent of the bioterrorist organization Alliance, and her mission was to monitor Evelyn. This identity had been hidden from Ethan before. It was only after the plot of Resident Evil 7 ended, when the BSAA placed the two of them under protective isolation, that Mia told Ethan. Although it is already in the past, it still left a thorn between the couple. Now that Li Chengfeng proposed that the two of them join the FBI, it was natural that the pain they had deliberately forgotten about Xiao Ci would arise again. You should know that although you have not been infected and mutated, you have indeed gained some unusual powers because of the E-mold. Li Chengfeng pointed at the blinking little Rose, and Rose has inherited all of this perfectly. Don't forget, she is the perfect container as the mother goddess Miranda said. Ethan and Mia glanced at their daughter, then at each other. They both saw the word wavering in each other's eyes. Although Spencer and mother goddess Miranda are dead, it is hard to say where in the world there are still some remnants of biochemical terrorists. After all, they are like psoriasis advertisements. It is almost impossible to completely eradicate them. Li Chengfeng's last words truly touched the hearts of Ethan and his wife. It is inevitable that there will be some biological remnants, and if they are found, it will be a big trouble. At least the FBI can completely relieve them of this worry. Definitely these are all excuses. Because I saw the ability in Rose, I wanted to recruit you two to keep Rose in the sight of the FBI. I promise with my life that I will protect this little girl. Li Chengfeng smiled, if you think I'm fooling you, I can become little Rose's godfather. Ethan's face suddenly changed. The real purpose is revealed, damn it. All this fuss is just because you are coveting his daughter. But Mia was the opposite. She happily agreed to Li Chengfeng's request directly. As a lifesaver, Agent Li, you definitely deserve the title of godfather. Li Chengfeng smiled and nodded to show his agreement. At this moment, a series of exclamations, some big and some small, came from outside the door. Then there was a sound from the door lock. The door opened and a woman in dark green combat uniform walked in. My queen, why are you hiding here? Why don't you come to me if you have a mission? You know I'm only here to educate my two brothers and you can come back anytime. The visitor was none other than Hela, the goddess of death who had been crowned as the Lord of Midgard in Asgard. As soon as she came in, she frowned. Why do you have this thing on you? Luckily you cleaned it up, otherwise I wouldn't want to touch you for at least 100 years. Li Chengfeng was stunned, and immediately understood that she was talking about the Black God consciousness. After all, the Black God consciousness is something related to the soul, which just happens to be within the professional field of her, the goddess of death. Etc. Hela suddenly grabbed Li Chengfeng's collar with one hand, pressed him against the wall, lowered her head and smelled him carefully. Why do you smell like another soul? You cheated. Chapter 165. Cheating? Don't frame me. I didn't do anything. Li Chengfeng was shocked by Hela's behavior and grabbed Hela's hand. Besides, how can I have the courage to cheat? Joke. Is Li Chengfeng cheating on his wife? Do you think there are too few ways to die? Or do you think the ways to die are too old-fashioned? You have to come up with some fancy way to die, right? So what's the situation with this soul that's with you? Hela inserted her other hand directly into Li Chengfeng's chest, and then Evelyn in the Black God's consciousness immediately began to scream. What the hell? What's going on? How come a hand appeared out of nowhere? Li Chengfeng. Damn. There's something haunted in your Black God consciousness. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. Big sister, you are the only ghost in the entire Black God consciousness, okay? But after hearing this voice, Li Chengfeng also relaxed. It seems that the soul Hela is referring to is Evelyn. You're talking about this. Let me explain. Li Chengfeng whispered the whole story to Hela in her ear, and then he felt his chest lighten. Hela finally let him go. Li Chengfeng breathed a sigh of relief and immediately brought Hela to Rose. This is my goddaughter, Rose Winters, and also, yours. Our goddaughter. Hela looked at Li Chengfeng with some doubt. Seeing Li Chengfeng nodded very seriously, she fell into deep thought for a while. Then he raised his hand and Night Sky Sword appeared out of thin air. Li Chengfeng could feel that compared with the replicas he casually made, this Night Sky Sword possessed the unique aura of a divine weapon. When fighting against the incarnation of Sidorak, Hela did not take out the original body of Night Sky Sword. You actually took it out at this time? Li Chengfeng didn't understand what Hela was trying to do, but the other party looked normal and had no murderous intent, so he guessed that she was not planning to do anything dangerous. The next moment, Hela stretched out her arm and stabbed Rose with the Night Sky Sword. Then, when Ethan and Mia were about to scream, he touched the baby's shoulders lightly with the tip of the sword. He sang in ancient Asgard, by the authority of the goddess of death and the lord of Midgard, I grant you the glory of the daughter of Hela. After completing this simple action, Hela retracted the Night Sky Sword. Ah, your girlfriend is... Ethan was a little confused. Hi, she is the crown princess of the Nordic royal family. She is a little excited to have a goddaughter. But Rose will be a real little princess in the future. It's getting late, so we'll leave first. I'll come to visit my dear goddaughter when I have time. Li Chengfeng smiled apologetically and immediately took Hela out of the ward. Phew. I was so scared. When you pulled out the Night Sky Sword, I thought something big had happened. How is this not a big deal? As the goddess of death and the lord of Midgard, I naturally have to officially inform the entire 9 realms that I have a goddaughter. After all, this is the first Helastadiah. You're really interested? Wait. Li Chengfeng turned his head suddenly. Helastadiah? Did you use your own power to give her a Christian name? Yes, just like what Odin did to Loki. Li Chengfeng's forehead almost hit from all of his breath. Like Odin did to Loki? Wow, Hela directly used the divine power to authenticate Little Rose's identity, and then used the power of Level God Father to change and sublimate Little Rose's life essence. Although he is not a complete Asgard god, all he lacks is divine power. When Rose grows up, she will possess the complete Asgard godhood and the physical qualities that an Asgard god should have. Ah, you like children. You're talking a little densely. Hela walked quickly out of the medical department. After seeing the biochemical protagonists showing a smile that was both obscene and mocking, Li Chengfeng immediately took out his personal terminal. Agent Ingrid. Immediately find and count all of BSAA Commander Chris Redfield's ex-girlfriends, including one-night stands, and send the details of each one to Jill Valentine. After Li Chengfeng ended the call, he glanced at Jill, whose expression had begun to change from doubt to rage. Snort. Are you making fun of me? You laugh the loudest. Good luck to you. FBI Medical Department Duty Log, August 1st, sunny day. This morning a female Tyrannosaurus attacked the injured. It was so brutal. When Li Chengfeng and Hela returned to the team base, it was already evening. When I walked into the base hall, I found that everyone was staying here. Whether it's Team Phil Coulson or Team All-Stars. Why are you all just standing here in a daze? Li Chengfeng was a little strange. There was no expression on anyone's face, even Hulk had a solemn look on his face. Most importantly, Everyone was wearing black suits. Finally, Phil Coulson stood up, came to Li Chengfeng and said, "Director Carter has just been declared critically ill. We are trying to save him now, but..." Phil Coulson didn't continue speaking, but Li Chengfeng already understood what he meant. Li Chengfeng patted Phil Coulson on the shoulder and walked towards Captain America. At the moment, Steve Rogers and Melinda May were sitting next to each other. Of all the people present, these two are the ones who have the deepest bond with Peggy Carter. She is Steve Rogers' lover who transcends time and space but whom he can never forget. She is Melinda May's mentor and guiding light. At this moment they are not Captain America and Iron Knight, but just ordinary people who are about to lose their families. Li Chengfeng didn't say much, just patted them on the shoulders. Then he asked Phil Coulson, "I remember Peggy Carter returned to her hometown when she got old, right?" "Yes, he is currently being treated in the medical department of the General Administration in England." Li Chengfeng nodded, and went back to the house with Hela and changed into a black suit. Then he obtained the coordinates and opened a huge amounts of portal. Destination, General Administration, England. Regardless of public or private matters, Li Chengfeng believed that he should see the old man off for the last time. "Thank you so much, Li." Captain America walked up and hugged Li Chengfeng. "This time the critical illness information came too suddenly, and even if I took the Zafeng, I wouldn't be able to see him for the last time." Even Melinda May, who usually had a cold face, showed a look of gratitude to Li Chengfeng. "That's right." Li Chengfeng suddenly muttered, and then opened another portal. This portal is connected to the operations meeting room of the America headquarters. A meeting of the 5 general bureaus is being held here. The moment the portal opened, Nick Fury immediately showed a puzzled expression. Li Chengfeng knew that this kind of meeting must be closed, so he walked up and said, "Peggy Carter is critically ill." Nick Fury's expression changed, and without saying a word, he quickly walked into the portal. Representatives from the other 4 general administrations followed closely behind. "Damn it, why is he critically ill?" Nick Fury's single eye gradually turned red. Li Chengfeng shook his head and just said one sentence. "Fury, she's been through a lot in her life, it's time for her to take a good rest." Chapter 166. 2 portals connected the 3 places, and everyone passed through the portals and gathered in the medical department of the England General Administration. The lights in the operating room remained on, and the red color lasted for a very long time, from dusk to dawn. Everyone subconsciously surrounded Captain America. No, now he is just Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers, who had a dance date with the elderly man in the operating room. Li Chengfeng, Nick Fury, and 4 other representatives from the General Administration formed a simple funeral committee at a distance. 6 extremely powerful guys in the FBI squatted in a circle in the corridor, adding a sense of absurdity to this solemn occasion. It's been so long since the rescue began. We must prepare for the worst. Nick Fury shook his head, his voice trembling as never before. Even if the rescue is successful this time, Peggy Carter may not have much time left. Li Chengfeng's squatting posture is the most standard Asian squat on the scene, and its comfort level is unmatched. While Nick Fury was talking, he looked at the representatives sent by the other 4 general bureaus. "Director Nick Fury, please accept my condolences. There is still hope, and we must not give up easily." The Republic woman in green crouches gracefully, yet has a warrior-like fierceness. Li Chengfeng was most familiar with the general administration of the Republic, but the heroes of the Republic had never had any contact with him, so he didn't know him. But Li Chengfeng knows her. Wonder Woman, penned Ellen from Justice League of the Republic. Its real identity is the Green Snake in the Legend of the White Snake, also known as Xiao Qing. As a demon, he was sealed by Fahey and then released by the officials of the Republic. Then, at the invitation of Wan Zhongxia, he joined the FBI and became a member of the Justice League of the Republic. The basic panel and skill package are not much different from Wonder Woman. But she also has an additional ability to reveal her true form. So her fighting power is basically the same as Wonder Woman. Then came the representative from the Big Bear General Administration. It was none other than the well-known captain of the Soviet Union, the Red Guardian Alexei Shostakov. In the comics, he is married to the famous Black Widow. To be precise, he married Natasha Romanoff. At that time, Natasha Romanoff was just a ballet dancer. But he was in a perfect Slavic squat with an unlit cigarette in his mouth. "You're right, Nick Fury. Peggy Carter is the strongest woman. Even in our Big Bear, there's no woman who can compare to her. After saying that, he picked up the silver wine jug beside him and took a sip. It's true that Peggy Carter is a strong woman, but no matter how strong she is, no one can defeat time. Definitely I'm referring to people like Peggy Carter who don't have any special abilities. The person who answered the phone was the representative of the French General Administration, who was also the commander of the French General Administration. Her status is almost equal to that of Maria Hill. And her name is Lorraine Riley, codenamed Firehawk. It's the French firestorm. But unlike the orthodox firestorm, she does not need to merge with others through the matrix, but can transform into nuclear man alone. And she is different from all firestorms, her flames are crystal clear light blue. She frowned as she looked at the wine jug in the Red Guardian's hand, obviously somewhat dissatisfied with this rough guy. Still thinking about drinking that crappy wine in this kind of occasion. In the end, it is the host who has to end the topic. England's initial representatives were the 3 generations of Black Knight. That's the guy who rides a Pegasus, holds an ebony sword, and uses the mysterious equipment of Avalon. And when everyone arrived at the England General Administration, the director of the England General Administration came out in person. When Li Chengfeng saw this gentleman, he couldn't help but blink hard. Awesome! Isn't this Captain Britain, Lois Braddock? This god has actually made his debut? In the original work, he is Peter Parker's college classmate and lives next door to him. And our little Peter is still performing tasks and collecting credits at the FBI Academy. Tisk tisk, this FG timeline is so inconsistent. Li Chengfeng couldn't help but sigh. Although Little Spider-Man's popularity is unparalleled, Captain Britain is still much stronger in terms of strength. Possessing the amulet of power and the sword in the stone, it is said that his strongest attack can cut through the omniverse. Definitely, Captain Britain is not boring enough to do this. But if you can't tell how strong a person is from his strength and settings, then look at the opponents he has defeated. In the original game, Captain Britain's power level is tied to his determination and perseverance, and there is no upper limit to how high it can go. The first major achievement was to fight against the main body of Phoenix Force without being defeated. If that's not enough, here's Captain Britain's greatest rival. The officially certified strongest mutant Jaspers. He can take down Roma, the almighty guardian of the universe, in just a few hits and wipe out Captain Britain's entire army single-handedly. He plunged the almighty universe into chaos and proclaimed himself the lord of the almighty universe. Theoretically, Jaspers can destroy all targets in the multi-universe. It can destroy reality, restart history, and reverse the entire timeline and all cause and effect. As well as bending, tearing, and even completely destroying entire spaces, arbitrarily erasing any existence from the timeline, including the multi-universe. It's a pure bug. It can compete with this kind of thing and even persist until the other party feels bored with life and self-destructs. All I can say is that although Captain Britain's upper limit is not as high as Superman's, his current strength is definitely the strongest on Earth. Li Chengfeng felt a little depressed when he thought of this. MD is a character who starts at the multi-universe level and can reach the almighty universe level with some effort. He is such a FG freak. Definitely, he knew that this was only calculated based on the peak condition. The normal Captain Britain is probably at the same level as the big guy in Kansas and Elsa. Li Chengfeng just thought that there should be more gods in the world, but he didn't expect one to pop up right away. But this guy is the director of the England General Office after all, and I'm afraid he won't take action unless it's absolutely necessary. But no matter how much he said, this big guy still had to squat in the corridor with him, right? Fury, I'm sorry about what happened, Ms. Carter. Don't be sorry, Lois. Nick Fury shook his head. Birth, aging, sickness and death are inevitable. Hey. Speaking of which, how are you getting along with my sister? Captain Britain tried to reduce the sad atmosphere by changing the subject. Who is your sister? Nick Fury was stunned by Captain Britain's question. Li Chengfeng quickly stood up, then leaned close to Nick Fury's ear and said with gritted teeth, her sister is Betsy Braddock. Also known as Psylocke. The purple-haired telepathy ability user from Xavier's school. After we absorb the mutant, she's the one who will restore your memories that were erased by Professor X. Next time you forget the name of your subordinate, can you please ask me first? Chapter 167. Hearing the sound of Li Chengfeng gritting his teeth in his ear, Nick Fury immediately coughed twice. Awkward. It's really embarrassing. This would never happen to him normally. It seems that Peggy Carter's critical illness has affected his normal thinking. Oh, You're talking about Psylocke. Nick Fury enthusiastically shook Captain Britain's hand. She is one of the best telepathic abilities in our America General Administration. It's definitely a pleasure working with her. After covering up this little embarrassment, Nick Fury wanted to say something else. But the red warning light that had been on all night suddenly turned green, and everyone stood up, whether they were squatting or sitting. Captain America even rushed directly to the door. Looking at the doctor who was taking off his gloves, he asked anxiously, "What happened to Peggy Carter?" "Captain, calm down." Phil Coulson stepped forward to stop Captain America, who was a little out of his mind. "Excuse me, what's the situation now?" Although this doctor is an ordinary person, he is a veteran who has worked in the FBI for decades and has seen many strange people. So even though there is a big green man standing behind Captain America with red eyes, he remains calm. He shook his head and said, "The patient has regained consciousness temporarily after the rescue, but she has lost all will to live. I am powerless to save her." The doctor shook his head. "Go and see her for the last time." "My condolences." After saying this, he left without any delay. Steve Rogers forced himself to suppress his heavy breathing, then turned around and said to Melinda May, "Agent May, just like last time, please accompany me to see Peggy one last time." "Yes, Captain." Melinda May, the woman who never cried even when she was seriously injured and on the verge of death, now has tears in her eyes. She nodded, then walked into the ward side by side with Steve Rogers. After Li Chengfeng and the two directors looked at each other, the three of them followed Captain America in. On the bed in the emergency room, the haggard Peggy Carter lay there. Her once bright and sharp eyes had long since become cloudy. But just like before, the place was filled with Captain America, with no one else there. "Hey, handsome guy, we meet again." "Yes, Peggy, we meet again." Steve Rogers forced himself to suppress his sadness and showed a somewhat awkward smile. "How do you feel?" "Puh, cough, cough. You're asking even though you already know the answer." "I've officially embarked on another path." Peggy Carter smiled and shook her head. "After I die, please cry for me and completely forget about me, an old woman from the 1920s, okay?" Although Peggy Carter's voice was extremely weak, her tone was more relaxed than ever before. It sounded like she was not about to die, but was preparing to go on an outing to a place full of summer flowers. "No, how could I forget my girl?" Captain America carefully held Peggy Carter's hand. "I still owe her a dance." "Yes, and that dance?" Peggy Carter nodded when she heard this, and then she exerted her strength. He actually sat up. Although it is still a little weak, it is 100 times stronger than before. Li Chengfeng sighed. This is a last glimmer of hope. In other words, Peggy Carter wanted to use the last bit of strength in her life to fulfill the dance invitation she had made decades ago. Sure enough, Peggy Carter stood up with the help of Melinda May and Steve Rogers, and even moved her hands and feet. "Come on, Steve Rogers." Peggy Carter gently extended her hand. Although her hair and skin were grey, her elegance was still the same as before. "Would you like to dance with me?" "It's my pleasure, sir." Steve Rogers also realized something, wiped his eyes gently, and took Peggy Carter's hand. Li Chengfeng silently turned on the green light to transform, and then materialized into an old-fashioned vinyl record player. The song "It's Been a Long Long Time" sounded melodiously. This is the song that Steve played in his home in Captain America 2. It is also the song that Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter danced to at the end of Avengers Alliance 4. "Kiss me once, then kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me again. It's been a long, long time, haven't felt like this, my dear, since I can't remember when. It's been a long, long time. Time has passed so long, I can't remember how long it has been since I felt the feeling of having you, because time has passed so long." As the slow and melodious song played, Steve Rogers gently put his arms around Peggy Carter's waist and held her in his arms. The force is light, yet heavy. It was so heavy that Steve Rogers' arms, which were strong enough to pull the helicopter back to the ground, trembled slightly. The two of them just hugged each other like this, without any dance steps, just swaying gently to the music. Just like their previous relationship, restrained yet beautiful. "You'll never know how many dreams I've dreamed about you, or just how empty they all seemed without you. You don't know how many times you have appeared in my dreams. Without you, no matter how beautiful the dream is, it is nothing but a reminder that you are gone." Li Chengfeng stood aside, watching the two dancing together, and couldn't help but sigh softly. Time is merciful. Steve Rogers finally transcends time and dances with his girl. But time is also ruthless, and from now on, he will lose her forever. Peggy Carter's final period of revival was ultimately short-lived. Her body gradually weakened until she needed to be completely supported by Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers knew what was about to happen, but he could only hold his girl tighter, as if he could keep her there a moment longer. He lowered his head and placed a gentle kiss on his lover's forehead. So kiss me once, then kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long time. So, kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me again, it's been too long. She closed her eyes. Never opened it again. Chapter 168. Peggy Carter's funeral was quickly arranged. After all, Captain Britain and Nick Fury were responsible for the entire arrangement, so the efficiency cannot be low. Peggy Carter was an outstanding agent who had made great contributions in both countries and was also the first director of the America General Agency. An outrageous number of people came to pay their respects. Li Chengfeng even served as a driver. He not only opened the portal to pick up all the main members of the X-Men, but also picked up all the elite agents with names and surnames from the America headquarters. Batch after batch of people passed through the portal, but Wolverine was late. Just when Li Chengfeng was about to shock Wolverine with his personal terminal, he found that this usually carefree man was pushing a wheelchair towards him. Li Chengfeng looked closely and saw the person in the wheelchair. Isn't that Bucky Barnes? Because Hydra's hypnotic ability was too powerful, the captured Winter Soldiers were all placed in protective custody. Beiji, the prototype of the Winter Soldier, is naturally among them. Logan, has the hypnotic ability in Bucky's brain been completely eliminated? It was eliminated a few days ago. Except for those who were loyal to Hydra before becoming the Winter Soldiers, the other Winter Soldiers were placed in the FBI in their home countries. Wolverine pushed the wheelchair to Li Chengfeng and shrugged. But Bucky was beaten up pretty badly by Steve in the last battle, and his legs haven't recovered yet. After saying that, he glanced at Bucky Barnes, who was sitting in the wheelchair without saying a word, and then deliberately said in a low voice so that the three people present could hear, "But the main reason is that some people felt ashamed to face Steve Rogers, so they stayed in the nursing home for a few more days. But I didn't expect Peggy to pass away at this time. Even if we are ashamed to face others, we have to send our old friend off for the last time." Li Chengfeng smiled and nodded. Although Wolverine looked relaxed, his smile did not reach his eyes, which were also shrouded in sadness. After all, whether it is Wolverine or Beiji, they are both members of the Howling Commandos and are Peggy Carter's soldiers. The death of this leader, colleague, and friend made Bucky Barnes, who had just been brainwashed and whose emotions had not yet fully recovered, feel the same. Sad. But he was more worried about Steve Rogers. Not long after returning through time, his beloved died. "How's Steve?" Bucky Barnes was silent for a while, and finally said something. "It was okay. He danced the last dance with his girl, and she fell asleep forever in his arms. It was a sad and imperfect ending, but it was good enough." That's right, that's right. Peggy has waited too long, it's time to rest." Bucky Barnes nodded thoughtfully, then lowered his head and muttered to himself. Seeing that Beiji had entered his world again, Li Chengfeng nodded to Wolverine without saying much, and then they walked into the portal together. At the other end of the portal is the famous Westminster Abbey. That is Westminster Abbey. As one of the most prestigious Catholic churches, Westminster Abbey is not only the church used by the royal family of England, but also the burial place of outstanding figures from all fields in England. And there is no doubt that Peggy Carter is absolutely qualified to be buried here. The main hall of Westminster Abbey is so huge that even with a series of spaces reserved for funerals, it can easily accommodate all the people coming to attend the funeral. Li Chengfeng even saw Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, who had just expressed their condolences to Steve Rogers, and then saw Li Chengfeng. "Li, have you been okay these past few days?" "To be honest, I'm not very good at attending funerals because they're a little too sad." "Thanks to you, it's not bad. I'm glad you didn't come here in your flashy suit." "Oh, come on. I admit that I am a little unruly and even contemptuous of the world, but I still read people's expressions sometimes." Tony Stark shook his head. Although he was joking with Li Chengfeng, his eyes showed deep sadness. "It's hard to imagine that Aunt Peggy just left like this." Li Chengfeng looked at Tony Stark with surprise. "Aunt Peggy? What generation is this?" But when he thought about it carefully, there was nothing wrong with shouting. His father, Howard Stark, was originally a good friend of Peggy Carter, and later they even worked in the same unit. When Howard Stark was rescued by the Legends, Tony's mother was rescued, but she couldn't hold on for long and eventually passed away. Tony Stark, who was only 17 years old and whose parents had passed away, encountered great resistance when taking over the family business, even though he was a genius cursed by knowledge. At that time, Peggy Carter was still the director of the America General Bureau, and she must have taken good care of her old friend's son. Otherwise, with Tony Stark's personality, would he help the FBI improve the flying aircraft carrier just because Nick Fury and the beautiful agent talked a few words? It was just the 17-year-old kid's expression of gratitude to Aunt Peggy. Peggy Carter is indeed a great woman. After my parents passed away, although the internal situation of Wayne Group was not as complicated as that of Stark's family, Peggy Carter still helped Wayne Group a lot in terms of external conditions. Bruce Wayne patted Tony Stark on the shoulder, "So, I signed a 30-year outsourcing partner contract with the American General Administration without hesitation. Your family is complicated. Your whole family is complicated." Li Chengfeng watched the two top bosses from New York and Gotham reminiscing about the past, and couldn't help but feel deep admiration for Peggy Carter. After a long time of fussing, the tradition of raising children was passed down from you. Suddenly, Li Chengfeng caught a glimpse of a very familiar figure out of the corner of his eye, but the figure was wearing a hat and his face could not be seen clearly. So after waving to Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, Li Chengfeng walked towards the direction where the figure flashed. Looking around, I found the guy in the hat huddled in the right corner of the church seats. He was the only one there for the time being. Li Chengfeng walked over without hesitation and sat in the seat next to him. After getting closer, Li Chengfeng finally confirmed the identity of this guy. "How should I put it, it's not really surprising. Is this your first time attending a friend's funeral? If you mean after the war, yes, this is indeed the first time." The man in the hat shook his head and sighed, "I am still young, but my friends have grown old or even died. So this is how it feels. Okay, stop pretending to be so deep." Li Chengfeng reached out and took off the man's hat, then continued, "Howard Stark, aren't you going to say hello to your wonderful son?" Chapter 169. Howard Stark glanced at Tony Stark from a distance. He was talking to Bruce Wayne. Then he shook his head and continued, "I'm already a dead man in history, so I'd better not meet you. Otherwise, the captain will hold a meeting to criticize me again when I return." "Did you come here specially to discover this time point in history?" "No, the legendary squad happened to be resting during this era. After I got the intelligence, I asked for leave to come and take a look." Howard Stark deliberately spoke very lightly, but Li Chengfeng knew that this man was probably the second saddest person at the scene. Second only to Steve Rogers. After all, who makes Peggy Carter Howard Stark's real white moonlight? Howard turned his head and saw Li Chengfeng's ambiguous eyes, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Agent Li, I know what you're thinking, but that's Peggy Carter, who can not love her?" Li Chengfeng nodded and expressed his deep agreement. "That's Peggy Carter, a woman of beauty, elegance, strength, and wisdom. She is definitely a goddess in the army. I have to say, Steve Rogers eats really well. Yet, who can not love her? But let me make it clear to you, I did love her when I was young, but my true love is still Maria. Don't tarnish my reputation." When Li Chengfeng heard Howard Stark mention his wife, he turned around and asked, "Howard, tell me the truth, about Maria's matter, don't you want to save the relationship? You're jumping around a little too much." Howard Stark looked at Li Chengfeng strangely, and finally all his words turned into a sigh, "Alas! How could I not save her? But time is much more resilient than we thought, and the inertia of time is much greater than we thought. My repeated rescues could not prevent Maria from dying in the year I left." Howard took the hat back from Li Chengfeng and shook his head. "Later, I realized that Maria just didn't want to stay in the timeline without me." Seeing that Howard Stark suddenly fell into a self-emo atmosphere, Li Chengfeng lost interest in continuing the conversation. Since he has formed a legendary team in the future and asked Sarah to recruit Howard Stark, it means that Howard Stark is the person necessary to protect the safety of history. Although he didn't know why it was necessary, but he trusts his future self, 100%. If he can't even trust himself, then there is nothing worth trusting in this chaotic universe. Just as Li Chengfeng was thinking this, a powerful voice came from his ears. "Hey, isn't this Howard? Why are you so nervous after not seeing you for a few days?" The two looked up and saw Captain Carter in a black dress. But Captain Carter had a black veil covering his face. Captain Carter? Fortunately you blocked your face, otherwise this funeral would have been a disaster. I'm even older than your Peggy Carter. How could I not have thought of this? Captain Carter sat next to Li Chengfeng and stretched his neck. To be honest, I've experienced a lot of things in various timelines and universes, but this is my first time to be at Peggy Carter's funeral. It's a magical experience. The corners of Li Chengfeng's mouth twitched. The king of slacking is really good at talking. Isn't this experience magical? Attending your own funeral? Not to mention that most people don't have this ability. For those who can possibly achieve it, who would have the time to watch how they die? Okay, you two guys with special identities just stay in this corner. The funeral will start soon. Li Chengfeng stood up and walked towards the front of the church. As a member of the funeral committee, he would be sitting at the front with Nick Fury. His expression gradually became solemn and dignified. After all, we're attending a funeral, so we'd better avoid smiling if possible. There is no custom of happy funerals in England. The funeral began as the choir sang melodious and holy songs. The coffin was covered with the flags of America and England, symbolizing Peggy Carter's outstanding achievements. The 6 people carrying the coffin were Captain America Steve Rogers, Winter Soldier Bucky Barnes, Wolverine Logan, Iron Man Tony Stark, Batman Bruce Wayne and Phil Coulson. Although Phil Coulson was also recruited into the FBI by Peggy Carter, at the moment he represented Nick Fury and the entire American Agency for Investigation More. As the coffin was carried deep into the church, where the heroic spirit of a nation lies, the funeral had just begun. After all, funerals are held for the living to express grief. The funeral ended with Sharon Carter's speech. Nick Fury and others still need to deal with the follow-up matters after Peggy Carter's death, while Li Chengfeng opens the portal again. He brought the person here like this, so he has to send him back like this. After all, TNND, what normal person carries a passport with them? Including Phil Coulson's team and the Star team, they also returned to the team base in Washington. Aren't you coming? King Ada raised his eyebrows, the purple ring on his ring finger sparkling, or do you have a mistress in England? Business. It's better to be serious. King Ada said while biting Li Chengfeng's lower lip, otherwise you will be in trouble. Hiss. Li Chengfeng couldn't help but frown. Bleeding. King Ada was seen smearing the blood evenly on his lips, making the scarlet red color even more enchanting. But this action made Li Chengfeng couldn't help but shake his head. Why does Ada like to bite people? Can't you learn less from Harley Quinn? Li Chengfeng felt that both his lips and neck would suffer from now on. After seeing off the team members, Li Chengfeng suddenly remembered that Captain Carter was still there. So Li Chengfeng immediately looked over, but found that Captain Carter and Howard Stark were not in the corner. Hey, soldier, did you see those 2 people sitting there? A man and a woman. The man has a mustache and the woman is very tall and strong. Li Chengfeng asked a security guard at the funeral. Let me think. Oh yeah, those 2 just talked to a few people and then went out together. Li Chengfeng frowned and immediately chased after him. As soon as he stepped out of the door, a hard object pressed against Li Chengfeng's waist. Don't move, come with us. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. Origin magic power floated out quietly, instantly imprisoning the person behind him. Then he turned around and looked at the white canary Sarah Lance, who had an expression of "Oh, how did I get discovered?" and asked helplessly, "What do you want from me? Don't tell me there's a big problem with the timeline, big enough that you need my help." Then the origin magic power was lifted. Sarah Lance moved her wrist and said, "Teacher, your guess is right." Chapter 170. Li Chengfeng looked at Sarah Lance's sighing expression and couldn't help but reach out and touch her head. "You're waiting here for your teacher, right?" "Hehe, the main thing is that this matter is indeed not small." Sarah Lance smiled, then took Li Chengfeng to the rooftop of the building next door. Li Chengfeng looked around, but there was nothing. But his powerful perception had already sensed that there was something strange ahead, and he pointed with his hand. "Even though it's not visible to the naked eye, is the Wave Rider parked there?" "Wow, the teacher is really worthy of being a teacher." When we encountered Dr. Doom and Blacken's Tony Stark in other timelines, the Wave Rider was never discovered. "Okay, stop flattering me." Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes and looked at his disciple and adopted daughter. "Although my daughter is the same age as I am now, the more you flatter me, the more difficult it will be for me to handle this matter." "You think too much." This time it's just a little difficult at best. I mainly want to see the teacher more often. Sarah Lance smiled a little embarrassedly. The 45-year-old teacher is missing, so I can only come to find the 25-year-old teacher. What? My future self is missing. As soon as Li Chengfeng asked the question, Sarah Lance turned on the communicator and gave the order. Gideon, deactivate optical cloaking. The next moment, huge amounts of spaceship Gideon appeared in front of the two. Come on, teacher, let's get on the boat first. Li Chengfeng nodded. His future self was already missing anyway, so there was no need to worry. I'll see if Sarah Lance has any clues later. If it doesn't work, transform into Ion and see if you can find your future self. So he followed Sarah Lance and boarded the Wave Rider. Welcome back, Captain Sarah Lance. Welcome back, creator Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng was also stunned when he heard Gideon address him. Aren't the creators of the time spaceship the Lords of Time? And wasn't Gideon created by that guy Barry Allen? I am your creator. Yes, you created me 20 years ago, and built this spaceship using URU alloy as the main body and adamantium as the auxiliary. Li Chengfeng nodded. The reason why he could feel the wave riding was that he sensed the energy fluctuations unique to the URU alloy. After all, it is something that can be used to create Mjolnir and the Orange Lantern Ring. Everything about the legendary squad was created by you personally. It seems that I am indeed dexterous. Li Chengfeng boasted shamelessly, then followed Sarah Lance into the cabin. Sure enough, Captain Carter and Howard Stark were standing in the cabin. There were two other people standing beside them. Martin Stein and Ray Palmer. You two, we haven't seen each other since we first met not long ago. It may have been a while ago for you, but it was a year ago for us. Ray Palmer shrugged. The time buffer is really not a place for people to stay. So we searched the timeline and finally found a safe point that would not affect any cause and effect. Martin Stein continued Ray Palmer's words, this point is up to you. Li Chengfeng understood as soon as he heard it. Hedge himself became their time blind spot. At present, it seems that this situation is caused by the fact that the essence of Ion Man has affected the main timeline of the real universe, making himself a temporal singularity. After all, Ion is above time and space. Okay, I can understand this. Li Chengfeng expressed his understanding and agreement, and then continued to ask, what about the other team members? Oh, I rushed over immediately after I got the news. The team members are now drinking in a bar in Los Angeles. Sarah Lance said excitedly, and the owner of the bar is an old acquaintance of Constantine, and he waived the bill for us. Li Chengfeng's eyes twitched. Sarah, can you guys please be more capable? It's just a free meal. Getting something for free is the same as making money. You taught me that. Besides, Director Nick Fury approved less funding. You don't know that the future director Nick Fury is very stingy. Even if it's you, don't think of getting more funding from him easily. Does my future self dare to teach me something good? Li Chengfeng shook his head. What the hell is going on here? Wait. Los Angeles? The owner of that bar knows Constantine? Sarah, the bar you're talking about wouldn't happen to be a bar called Lux, right? Yes, yes, yes. It's this one. What's wrong? Have you been there too, teacher? Li Chengfeng rubbed his eyebrows. What a coincidence, this is related to that unreliable god Lucifer. Hey! Let's go! Let's go! Go to Lux first and pick up all your teammates. Then let me see how big a mess you have made on the timeline. Chapter 171. Outside the Lux door, Chloe pushed it open and walked in. Lux at the moment, which is usually crowded, was surprisingly deserted, with only a few people chatting and drinking. And she saw that Lucifer was sitting on his own sofa at the moment, talking to a blonde Englishman with a smile on his face. They seemed to be having a good conversation. Lucifer! Have you forgotten that we are partners now? Oh my god, can't you just answer the phone? Chloe's voice echoed back and forth in the bar and reached Lucifer's ears. Lucifer waved at Constantine, then stood up and walked over to Chloe. Compared to his good partner, Constantine is nothing. Oh, detective, you called me? Sorry, I think I threw my phone into that beautiful lady's bag. Oh no, it could be another inside dot. Lucifer made some gestures with inappropriate content for children, but it's useless to call me dad for this matter. He wouldn't be so bored as to personally take care of whether someone answers the phone or not. I'm talking about God. Not your father. That's right. God, that's my father. Chloe rolled her eyes. She was too lazy to talk nonsense with this frivolous guy. Why does a man with such a handsome face always do nothing? I don't have time to get involved with your childhood trauma and religious metaphors right now. Chloe covered Lucifer's mouth with her hand. Listen to me, there's another murder case now. As a police consultant and my partner, you have to go to the scene with me. After saying this, he also saluted the group of drinkers who were watching the fun. Dear customers, I'm sorry to have affected your drinking pleasure. After saying that, he pulled Lucifer's tie and walked out. At this time, the door opened again and another group of people came in one after another. The leader was Li Chengfeng. As soon as he came in, he saw the members of the legend team looking at him with surprise. Hey, Constantine, long time no see. You've been traveling for a long time recently, right? How are you feeling? Isn't this my favorite bald guy? I mean, isn't this my favorite heatwave and ice team? Don't you miss me after not seeing me for so long? And Jefferson? Well, it seems like we are not familiar with each other, but if I don't say hello to you, it will seem like I am isolating you, which is not good. If you do this in America, you may be prosecuted. Puff. Phew, I feel much better. Lucifer took away Chloe's hand that was covering his mouth, let out a long breath, and walked up to chat with Li Chengfeng, an acquaintance he had only met once. Li, it's only been a few days, and you're here to drink again. This is really a coincidence. Li Chengfeng pointed at the people in the bar, then pointed behind him. These people are all from our FBI. Wow, you're from the FBI? You didn't tell me last time. It wasn't necessary at that time. Li Chengfeng smiled and shook his head, then looked at Chloe who was alert. After all, last time you only had Mesa by your side, but not such a beautiful female detective. Chloe was clearly skeptical at the moment. She had definitely heard of the FBI, but her rank was not high enough, and her knowledge of this mysterious special department was limited to knowing about it and recognizing its documents. As for further understanding, there is absolutely no way. After all, she is just an ordinary detective. But she didn't think that the FBI would have anything to do with Lucifer, a frivolous guy. Although Lucifer's behavior is very different from that of ordinary people, he is just a wealthy bar owner. Excuse me, friends. Although I don't know what weird cosplay game you are playing with Lucifer, I really need to take him out of this door, get in my car with new tires, and go to the damn crime scene. Li Chengfeng fully understands that if there is an unreliable slacker at work, his mentality will definitely be affected. Captain Carter is being criticized here by name. But he didn't move aside. It was because Sarah Lance said in his ear in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Teacher, go with them. This case is related to the events that affect the timeline." What the hell? Why else do you think I came to this bar at this time? If you knew me better, you would know that I have always been a very purposeful person. After saying that, Sarah Lance took out the FBI ID from her body and handed it to Chloe. Chloe was a little confused now. These people even dared to make fake evidence for the FBI? But after the examination, she was even more confused. This is FG true. The FBI agent is friends with Lucifer? This is even more outrageous than forging a certificate. But Chloe confirmed again and again that the document was indeed authentic, so she had no choice but to return it to Sarah Lance. And Sarah Lance showed a pure and harmless smile. Detective Chloe, we are very interested in the murder case you just mentioned. And I happen to think that you have the potential to be an excellent FBI agent. How about taking us to have a look? Chapter 172. Li Chengfeng didn't expect that his student was so shameless that he actually made such a big promise to Chloe. My future boyfriend is the god in front of me. Don't you consider that if you fool others now, they will take the opportunity to retaliate against you in the future? However, Li Chengfeng denied himself halfway through his complaints. Forget it. Judging from the original American TV series, as long as Chloe doesn't touch her bottom line, making a pie in the sky is definitely not a deep hatred. As for Lucifer, this careless guy, I'm afraid you'll screw him over half to death, and then he'll be able to play with you happily. Since you are real, let's go. Chloe definitely has a yearning for the FBI. To be more precise, every ambitious police officer, CIA, and FBI officer has a yearning for the FBI. That's the highest law enforcement agency. But it was just a yearning. She still felt a little uncomfortable about someone suddenly inserting themselves into her case. So he pulled Lucifer and walked out of the door of Lux first. Seeing that the two of them had pushed the door open and walked out, Li Chengfeng looked at Sarah Lance. Are you sure? After you solve this, won't you have to go back to the time buffer? And you were born in this timeline, but you joined the FBI in the future timeline. So this matter depends on you, teacher. Sarah Lance gave Li Chengfeng a sly smile, like a daughter acting coquettishly to her father. Li Chengfeng instantly felt what it felt like to have pain in the balls. He suddenly understood why Nick Fury always had that weird expression of confusion and pain when facing Harley Quinn. If he looked in the mirror now, he was sure that his expression was exactly the same as Nick Fury's. I really owe you. After saying this, Sarah Lance immediately smiled happily. Then he waved to the people who were still drinking, let's go. There's a mission. Although Li Chengfeng didn't know what they had experienced this year, Sarah Lance only needed one sentence to make Constantine, Heatwave, and Captain Cold, three guys with different personalities but all unruly, follow him obediently. I am a student who is not a pushover. Li Chengfeng was still quite relieved. But while I was relieved, I also felt a little guilty. After all, I didn't teach her anything in essence. So after returning from the angel dimension last time, he specially made equipment for this only student with the best materials, and planned to give it to her when they met again. Li Chengfeng took advantage of this opportunity to open his pocket space and took out several pieces of equipment. Teacher? What is this? The last time I went to another dimension and bought a batch of goods, I made you a few useful gadgets. Li Chengfeng raised the corner of his mouth slightly. He created this equipment based on the characteristics of White Canary, so the fit was absolutely perfect. As a teacher and father, I should be pretty competent, right? The first item is a retractable and disassembled long stick, which is up to 1.8 meters long at its longest and can be retracted to a length of more than 20 centimeters, which is just right to be worn around the waist or on the back. The main body of the stick is the most precious Dagon stone, which can be regarded as the hardest metal in the universe. Then it is mixed with an alloy made of Yaka metal and Uru metal. After the voice print is recorded, it can fly to the hand through the sound. The maximum distance should be about 100 meters. After saying that, Li Chengfeng put the stored long stick in Sarah Lance's hand. The girl's eyes were immediately filled with joy, like a child who received gifts from his parents at Christmas. With a swish, the stick instantly became longer. It's a bit heavier than the carbon steel stick I usually use, but it fits my hand perfectly. As Li Chengfeng spoke, he put a white collar around Sarah Lance's neck. I made this using Yaka metal and Uru metal. The Uru metal is engraved with a magic array that emits high-frequency sound waves. After receiving the high-frequency sound waves, the Yaka metal will vibrate rapidly, amplifying the power exponentially. All of this will only be triggered by your voice. After all, the White Canary is incomplete without the roar of the bird. Teacher. Sarah Lance touched the collar around her neck, her expression suddenly becoming solemn. From now on, you are my real father. Sarah, although I know it's annoying to interrupt your teacher-student relationship. Firestorm's other half, Jefferson, pointed in the direction of Star City. Don't forget that in this era, your biological father is still alive. Ahem, I'm just excited. Sarah Lance was also a little embarrassed. Li Chengfeng shrugged and said, why rush? There's still a third item. After saying that, Li Chengfeng raised his hands in the air, and the red and green lamps were held in his hands. Li Chengfeng firmly believed that with Sarah Lance's experience, she should be able to gain recognition from the lantern ring. But to his surprise, a green lantern furnace lit up, and then spit out a green lantern ring. Intelligent life has been targeted. Sarah Lance from Earth. You have a strong will to overcome fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. Chapter 173. Lucifer, how on earth do you know so? A group of FBI agents. Chloe pondered for a long time and finally chose a suitable quantifier, and they are not interested in your special ability to induce others to reveal their inner desires. Chloe was still worried about Lucifer after all, since she had heard a lot of rumors about the FBI. What about hiding and killing aliens? What about capturing those with super abilities and studying them? Anyway, among all the conspiracy theories and online rumors, the image of the FBI is actually not very positive. The FBI is so mysterious that even people within her system know very little about it, not to mention the ignorant American people. After all, they might even subscribe to a flat earth theory. But judging from the attitude of those FBI agents just now, it seems that they do have a good relationship with Lucifer. If we talk about friends, most of them are not. Lucifer shrugged, still with that cynical smile on his face, but the agent named Li Chengfeng is indeed my friend. He is really a very interesting man. You probably just think he's funny, right? You're not thinking about anything else, are you? Chloe didn't forget that the guy in front of her had no bottom line when it came to having fun, and it was normal for him to have S*X with both men and women. Be careful not to get caught by the FBI. As for Li, I should not have any. So I've considered it. While Chloe and Lucifer were talking, Li Chengfeng and the members of the Legend team also walked out of Lux. Sorry for the long wait, Detective Chloe. Let's set off now. Li Chengfeng nodded to the two of them. Then, start hailing taxis. Nonsense, if he doesn't take a taxi, is it possible to open a portal or drive a spaceship in public in front of so many ordinary people? After hailing several taxis, the unanimous response was follow the police car in front. The serious expression made the taxi drivers think they were encountering a scene from a police and gangster movie, and they were all extremely excited. The price of excitement is accidentally crossing the line. Then everyone walked back 1 block before they saw the cordon from afar. Please stay away from the cordon. Thank you for your cooperation. Stop interfering in the affairs of FBI agents. Li Chengfeng pressed the FBI ID in front of the overweight policeman, then lifted the cordon and walked in with the legendary team. This is a wealthy area in Los Angeles. Although it looked like something big had happened, few people stopped to watch. After all, for sophisticated egoists, it doesn't matter whether others live in hell. But this also saves the energy of evacuating the people, which is good. Surrounded by the cordon is a 2-story detached villa, which is considered a luxury house even in Los Angeles, where there is so much gold. Walking past the garden and the swimming pool, I saw many police officers walking towards me, who were now holding the flower beds. Vomit. This scene is so spectacular. They were lined up neatly in a row, and the sounds of vomiting could be heard one after another. Ah, these useless men. Sarah Lance was a little disgusted. What did they see that caused them to react so violently? After saying that, he pushed open the door of the villa. Immediately, a stench of solidified blood hit me in the face. Even when Li Chengfeng walked into the villa and saw the scene inside, he couldn't help but pause. Have I come to the territory of Slaanesh? The luxurious and expensive carpet was clumped with congealed blood. Broken limbs and arms were hanging on every valuable piece of furniture in the villa. And this amount of blood and flesh. At least a dozen people to start with. Vomit. The first person who couldn't help but rush out to vomit was Jefferson. Although he is Firestorm's other half, he is just a young man of college age after all. Apart from repairing cars and time-space spaceships, he has never seen such cruel and bloody scenes. If there is a first, there will be a second. Soon, in the entire team, except for Li Chengfeng, only Sarah and Captain Carter did not run out to vomit. It's just that Sarah was obviously just holding on, and Captain Carter really didn't care. This is the margin that an old man over 100 years old has. Sarah, you look yellow. Cold-proof wax? Why is it red again? Feeling refreshed? As someone who came from the Assassin's League, you have no resistance to bloody scenes. Captain Carter looked at Sarah Lance with some curiosity. It's obviously all about killing. The Assassin's League has always been about killing with one strike, never about massacres. Li Chengfeng could understand that. The visual impact of a corpse with a bloody mark on the throat and a corpse that is torn into pieces is indeed not on the same level. In fact, he also felt nauseous after seeing this scene, but after all, Li Chengfeng was the epitome of the willpower of Bats and Hal Jordan, so he did not show it on the surface. However, Chloe and Lucifer, who were investigating the scene at the moment, looked normal. Lucifer is fine, as the Lord of Hell, what kind of evil has he not seen? But Chloe wasn't affected at all. He is truly a natural detective saint. Detective Chloe, you were born to do this job. Listen to me, whether you can join the FBI or not, you should work in law enforcement for the rest of your life, okay? Li Chengfeng walked to Chloe's side and continued, with your mental state, if you don't become a detective and do something illegal, it will be really hard to deal with you. Can I take that as a compliment? That's definitely a compliment. Without further ado, the 3 people who did not go out to vomit together began to help investigate the scene. He definitely said it was assistance, but it was mainly because Li Chengfeng lowered his voice and asked Sarah. Is this the case related to the fluctuation of the timeline? That's right. Sarah Lance turned her head and glanced warily at Chloe, who was carefully checking clues, but she found that the moment she looked over, Lucifer raised his head and smiled at her. After shivering for no apparent reason, he continued to say to Li Chengfeng, the person who did this was a time stowaway. A time stowaway? Li Chengfeng frowned. From the future. That's right. Sarah Lance nodded. Time travel is basically something that can only be done with future technology, and the origin of this person is still unclear. We only know that he has a strange thing called a symbiote in his body. You mean the symbiote? Li Chengfeng immediately frowned. What color is it? Black? Or red? Red. Sarah Lance took a deep breath and let it out slowly. In fact, we fought him in 2099. He called himself Massacre. Chapter 174. So, it was symbiote Carnage who caused this big scene. That's not surprising, that's not surprising. Li Chengfeng nodded repeatedly. There are few good ones in this family of symbiotes. The Massacre was the most notorious of them all. Not to mention that his host is a shark maniac, he was originally born from the most brutal and bloody side of venom. The combination of the two created a symbiote that took pleasure in killing. And this symbiote thing is very similar to the Scions. The basic panel of the next generation is getting higher and higher, and the ability is getting more and more outrageous. But in terms of the upper limit, it still has to be Venom, the first generation Scion. You just said that you and Massacre fought in 2099. How was the battle? Carnage is very strong. Sarah Lance shook her head. We have actually seen many symbiotes in various timelines within this year. Even Carnage has seen several, but this Carnage is definitely the most powerful symbiote we have ever seen. The most powerful symbiote. Li Chengfeng frowned. Theoretically, Carnage's basic panel is indeed not weak, at least 4 to 5 times that of Venom, but it is far from the strongest. But Sarah Lance's experience cannot be faked. No wonder Sarah Lance said this Massacre could cause big problems on the timeline. It seems that this Carnage has either undergone an unknown mutation, or has a host that originally possesses special abilities. You mean, mutant? Or inhuman? It's not just these two groups, there's even the possibility of aliens. But we can only guess, after all, we don't know which timeline or node this Massacre came from. After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, he thought for a moment, then continued to say to Sarah Lance, since they've vomited into such a mess, don't let them come back. Go back to the Wave Rider and check if history has changed. Since it's such a powerful symbiote, it might cause a time quake. After hearing Li Chengfeng's command, Sarah Lance did not feel that her authority had been exceeded at all. Instead, she ran out happily to convey the order. Li Chengfeng looked at this legendary team captain who was actually capable of standing on his own and couldn't help but shook his head. Is it true that no matter how strong your abilities are outside, once you return to your parents, you will just become a happy loser who stretches his neck and cries for mom and dad for everything? Li, we have to call for reinforcements. Chloe walked over with Lucifer, and then continued, now if we want to confirm how many people have died here, we need both manpower and equipment. Too many. Li Chengfeng agreed deeply and said, let me call for reinforcements. This matter is no longer something that the LAPD can handle. Although Chloe felt that the LAPD should be held responsible, she thought about the dozens of police officers who were vomiting outside and did not stop them. Most local police officers really cannot handle this kind of situation. Seeing that Chloe agreed, Li Chengfeng took out his personal terminal. Ingrid, notify Phil Coulson's team to come to Los Angeles. There is a big case that needs him to take over. Yes sir, I will notify Agent Phil Coulson now. Chloe nodded and also walked aside to make a phone call. She had to inform her superiors that the matter was now taken over by the FBI. Li Chengfeng didn't want to push the work to others, but the crime scene was not the most important thing. The most important thing was to find out the current location of the Massacre and his true identity. To be honest, although the detective and I are very good partners, and he has taken me to see many interesting scenes. Lucifer gestured excitedly beside Li Chengfeng, but, here? It's really a lot of fun that I've never experienced before. Honestly, what you said doesn't sound very humane. You know that? Lucifer shrugged, and his blasphemous devil eyes flashed, I am not a human either. Okay, I'm afraid of you, isn't that enough? Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. You're so angry inside, but you're still smiling. This is really weird. After hearing what Li Chengfeng said, Lucifer Morningstar, the boy with a fake smile, finally couldn't maintain his superficial decency anymore. Bloody hell! If I knew who forced people into my hell, I would make him feel how hot the wrath of hell is. Li Chengfeng looked at the crime scene again and patted Lucifer on the shoulder. It's true what they said, this is indeed bloody hell. After Phil Coulson arrived with his team and the entire Los Angeles branch, Li Chengfeng said hello and left. Just leave this to Phil Coulson. The personnel under him are more suitable for handling this crime scene. And he wants to solve the most fundamental problem. The massacre that can travel through time and space. So Li Chengfeng led his men directly back to the Chinbo. After getting away from the overly bloody scene, the members of the Legend Squad resumed their work efficiency. Definitely except for Heatwave McRory. His job at times like this was to just drink beer on the side and not get in the way. Unlike McRory's relaxed state, Martin Stein, Constantine, Howard Stark, and Captain Cold, who are smart, are trying to solve a problem at the moment. That's how this massacre actually traveled through time. First of all, he doesn't have the time stone. Secondly, he doesn't have any known time machine on him. In the end, we didn't sneak across via the Wave Rider. So what methods did he use? A group of super geniuses who could quickly build a top-level technology tree together, just don't have any angle to approach it. At this time, McRory, who had finished his fourth bottle of beer, burped and looked at these geniuses as if they were idiots. That's of course necessary. Since he can't travel through time, then there must be a fellow time traveler who is taking her through time. Criminals like us love to form gangs. Hearing what McRory said, Li Chengfeng couldn't help but look at his head that he had scrubbed. He is indeed the Heatwave McRory who was called the only smart guy in the team by Einstein in the original work. His IQ may not be high, but his ideas are always clear and to the point. Just as Li Chengfeng was about to step forward, he saw Jefferson rushing out of the timeline observation room with a newspaper in his hand. This is the newspaper for the day after tomorrow. It says, FBI agent Harley Quinn died in the line of duty. Li Chengfeng's eyes narrowed and he immediately took the newspaper in his hand. Is this history that has been changed? Jefferson nodded and said, yes, this is the only special event that occurred in the past 10 days after screening. Just as Li Chengfeng was about to ask him to continue monitoring the timeline fluctuations, his personal terminal began to vibrate. It's a video request from Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson, what happened? Li, we found a hidden pinhole camera in this villa, which recorded the entire process of the massacre. You must be mentally prepared. I've just seen this scene, what else do I need to prepare myself for? I'm not talking about the scene, I'm talking about the murderer. As Phil Coulson spoke, he pointed the monitor screen at the terminal. In the picture, the massacre tore the last person into pieces, and blood spread all over the space, with a lot of blood falling on his pale green hair. However, the face of this person, whose entire body was covered by the symbiote carnage, was exposed. A slit mouth, a happy smile, and crazy eyes. And what Li Chengfeng is very familiar with, pale. Chapter 175. Li Chengfeng rubbed his eyes, then glanced at his personal terminal screen again. It was Phil Coulson's big face. FK. Baldy, are you going to scare me to death with your big forehead? Li Chengfeng, if you call me bald-faced, I will definitely explode with you. Phil Coulson in the terminal rolled his eyes and continued, I will send all the information on the scene to your personal terminal in a moment. After saying that, Phil Coulson disconnected. Li Chengfeng exhaled deeply. That pale face, he was definitely not mistaken. It's Joker. When Carnage meets Joker, one is the most cunning and brutal among the symbiotes, and the other is the craziest in Gotham, where there are many mentally ill people. When the two of them get together, it's really a two-way trip. Combined with Jefferson's discovery of the day after tomorrow's newspaper. Damn it, Joker is going to do something to Harley. Li Chengfeng gritted his teeth. This green-haired BD. Li, don't be impulsive. Captain Carter suddenly pressed Li Chengfeng's shoulder. Joker is an opponent that you can't deal with when you are too hot-blooded. Calm down first. Li Chengfeng took several deep breaths before he managed to calm down. Captain Carter nodded. The young Li Chengfeng was indeed different from the middle-aged version. Listen to advice. We don't even know the exact location of Massacre and Joker right now. Even if we want to find him and destroy him humanely, we can't do it. Captain Carter's words touched Li Chengfeng's heart. The most urgent task now is to find this BD first. Li Chengfeng slapped his forehead. Damn! There's no point in me daydreaming here. Go find the bat. If there is anyone in the world who knows Joker best, it must be Batman. Bruce Wayne has just returned home from the Wayne Enterprises building. Today is the day for the routine shareholders meeting. Although it was just a formality, he, as the largest shareholder and actual controller of the Wayne Group, must meet with the shareholders. But when they meet, drinking and chatting are inevitable. However, the alcohol tolerance of the old man was only enough to make him slightly tipsy at best. Bruce Wayne leaned back on the couch, loosened his tie, and let out a long breath. Alfred? Get me a bottle of water from the fridge, please. Not long after that, a hand handed him a bottle of expensive-looking mineral water. Bruce Wayne caught a glimpse of the hand and immediately grabbed it, ready to capture the other party. But nothing moved. When he turned around, he saw Alfred shrugged at him and Li Chengfeng with a smirk on his face not far away. That's not the case, Bruce. I'm helping you get water, and you're arresting me. You and Alfred kept silent, and I thought something had happened. Bruce Wayne curled his lips, shook off Li Chengfeng's hand, then took the mineral water and drank it all. After drinking water, the tipsy feeling will start to subside immediately. Master Bruce, this is not my fault. It is Master Chengfeng who wants to see you. Alfred pointed to the ground. It's about the following matter. Bruce Wayne immediately looked at Li Chengfeng's face. Seeing that there was no smile in Li Chengfeng's eyes, he knew that something really happened and he came to see him this time. So he stood up without hesitation and turned the mechanism in front of Li Chengfeng. A passage opened up on the ground. Tisk tisk tisk, Bruce, what do you think would happen if your sister-in-law knew that you used her statue as a mechanism to open the Batcave? Li, you don't need to sow discord. She has already discovered this. Bruce Wayne said, and walked away. Master Chengfeng, he's just being stubborn. Alfred said with a smile, anyone with eyes will know that he loves it so much that he wishes everything around him had Miss Selina's mark on it. Li Chengfeng curled his lips. Isn't this just a love brain? At this moment, Li Chengfeng temporarily chose to forget why he came to find Bruce Wayne. Following Bruce Wayne, Li Chengfeng and Alfred also entered the Batcave. Okay, Li Chengfeng, what happened this time that made you come to me on your own initiative? Is there another fairytale town or something like that popping up in America? Bruce Wayne turned around and asked. But Li Chengfeng just shook his head and took out the FBI's personal terminal. Take a look at this first. After saying that, he called up the on-site surveillance footage that Phil Coulson had just packed and sent over. Bruce Wayne took the terminal and was calm at first. Although the scene was bloody, it was still within his tolerance. But when the green-haired carnage turned around, Bruce Wayne had the same reaction as Li Chengfeng. When did this happen? This surveillance video was found today in a villa in Los Angeles. It was filmed yesterday. But this isn't possible. Nothing is impossible, Bruce. Li Chengfeng held Bruce Wayne's shoulder. Where is the body of Joker that I asked you to take care of? Bruce Wayne immediately stood up and, without saying a word, headed straight to the bottom level of the Batcave. Li Chengfeng and Alfred looked at each other and followed. Chi. After a series of noisy sounds of machines being turned on, a metal coffin made entirely of nano-alloy appeared before our eyes. After slowly opening it, the Joker's body, soaked in some kind of preservative liquid, appeared in front of the three people. Li Chengfeng frowned. FK, you really collected it. If you can't speak, don't speak. This is a cage I made for him. Even if he is resurrected, he will be drowned again because he can't escape. Over and over again. He will be forever trapped between life and death. Li Chengfeng listened to Bruce Wayne's story, then moved forward to observe. Has he been resurrected? More than once. Bruce Wayne glanced at the detection device beside him, 26 times to be exact. Li Chengfeng operated the monitoring device for a few times and called up the detailed log. But the last resurrection was 10 days ago, and there has been no resurrection response since then. Alfred kept staring at Joker, then pointed, take a closer look. Does this body have some? Too soft. Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne looked at each other and immediately removed the bulletproof glass container in the metal cage. Crash. As the preservatives flowed out, Bruce Wayne reached out his hand directly to Joker's face. With a pop, it went through everything. Li Chengfeng's face turned pale. This. It's just a layer of skin like a cicada's shed skin. Escape. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.